There is no 100% security anywhere in the world. The more the ease of life, the more the security in it. One of the beauty about cybersecurity is also job security. Once you understand the protocol, you are manipulating the real protocol. Example, people doing Yahoo, what are they doing? They're manipulating the real protocol of communication. That's all. So there's nothing really special. You want to attack FTP, you want to attack whatever attack you want to do, you are manipulating that real protocol. That's what everything you are doing. So majorly just get understanding the protocols and how to modify it. So organization rely on information assurance principles, and these principles are the CIA tries, right? That confidentiality, integrity, and availability to attain defense in depth security. Even though now we talk about zero trust, it's even more than defense in depth is fine. And sometimes defense in depth can, well, it's also good, but there's some, like I told you guys, defense security is dynamic, right? It's diplomatic. Let me give you an example. If my asset is, let's say, how to provide speed to people, right? But when it comes to cloud, we talk about the Cisco 3 where we have the um distribution model. We have things, the three models like that. We talk about it that when it comes to class. So we majorly use the Cisco 3 model for that aspect. But let's just say what I'm selling is speed, right? I have to deliver a high bandwidth to my customers. Now, let's say I'm going from Lagos to Ibadan. The more police I see, the slower my journey. That means if I'm putting police in every 1 kilometer, instead of me to use 1 hour, 30 minutes, if they are checking me every time, I'll be using 3 hours to get to Ibadan. And that will affect speed. So it's not just some people say, why can't we just put security everywhere? It doesn't work like that. It's dynamic. But if you put more security, the slower the speed will be. So you have to be careful where you are putting those policemen so that they get the right, it will be dynamic, it will be diplomatic. So when they are doing that search, it will not call go slow. So you are putting them at any point. Apart from that, we have a longer journey. There will be hold-ups. So that way I can't just put security measures, just having these devices everywhere. And that's where we have risk management from them. And of course, I told you about finance. Finance does not even make you do all those. This is a major big factor. So information assurance principle act as enablers for an organization security activities to protect and defend the organization network from security attacks. So I've talked about the information assurance principles where we have confidentiality, ensures information is not disclosed to unauthorized parties. I will still talk about this when we get to authentication, authorization, the AAA principles. But something you should know that confidentiality, that means nobody should have access to what they don't have access to. Example, if someone has access to your bank app, that's a problem for you. So that means an authorized person has access to your bank app. Or on your OPay now, you now see advertisement of porn. Tomorrow, all of you move your money. But it's no more confidential. You are already seen to be that right there. Then we have integrity. That means information should not be tampered with. So if I'm sending 5,000 to someone, it should not change to 500. And we talked about it in the beginning of the class, that data move from one place to the other. Right? Just like water is moving, it's the same way data is moving. It now depends, maybe it's moving through light medium, it's moving through a voltage, it's moving through radio waves. But data move from one point to the other. Example, if you're even logging into your bank app, right? Where do you think the username and password is authenticated? Most of you don't know that it's not authenticated your phone. That username and password is moving from your phone to the bank server. So for the fact that it's moving from your phone to the bank server, it can be hijacked. Although it's been encrypted, that's fine. But if there isn't a weak encryption, it can be cracked that the same way. So data move from one point to the other. By the time I'm saying hello now, that hello can be changed to hi everywhere. So what integrity is saying that I don't want it to be modified. So if I'm sending hello to you, it should not change, right? That hello should be hello. Then availability is saying that ensure that information is available to authorized parties without disruption. That means at every point in time, there is data available to you. And I feel that it's not only just data being available to you. We also talk about priority of service. Most of us are used to that speed and bandwidth. Like most of us, if they take us to 2 GB, we will not survive. Some people will not survive at all. In fact, they will be like something is wrong with them. Because some people are addicted to their phone like they're addicted to drugs. So if you now give them 2G again, or they change your mobile phone to 2 MP camera, some of you will not be, some of you will not enter social media again, right? So most of us are used to, human beings are used to development. They don't want to downgrade. So availability is not just about data being available. Also with the same quality of data, that's quality also, and quality of service. Okay. They also have non-repudiation. That means the sender cannot deny sending the message. Receiver cannot deny receiving the message. Then also we have authentication. So these are part of the AAA principle. Authentication ensures the identity of an individual is verified by the system of service to be sure that you are the right person. And these are measures for confidentiality. Please note that. Uh, Sorry. Okay. So these are measures. Uh, so let me just highlight it here. Okay. So these guys, they are measures for confidentiality. Right. Another authentication, we have different things. We have something you are, something you have, and something you know. Right. So something you have, something you have, and something you know. Although we'll still talk about that in a minute. Then what are the network defense benefits? You protect information assets. Information are very expensive. Most of you don't know. And let me show you the cost of an average bridge. The cost of an average bridge in Nigeria is about 300 million. But in the US, the cost of an average bridge is $4.44 million. That's the cost of an average bridge. On an average. In Nigeria, it's about 300 million, but in basis in financial, yeah, in a fintech, is about that amount. So data are very, very expensive. Most of you don't know. Very expensive. So that's why most of the time I tell people that cybersecurity and law, they are brother 5 and 6. Although we've not really talked about law, and most of you have not experienced that at all. But as you move deeper into the industry, you understand that you can go to court. You know, when we were young, some people say that Kamaru go court. Insecurity is normal. So you might see Jogo, of course, one way or the other. So it might be to your benefit. When by digital forensics, you will now be paid. I don't want to show you court. It's not possible now. You go to court because you have to show that whatever it is admissible in court. Right. So cybersecurity and law, they are 5 and 6. And that's why I'm not teaching you cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is not a local teaching. The same way I'm teaching you, the same way I'll teach a white person. So you have to learn all over the world. And it's the same principle. It's just that the laws are different, right? Laws are dependent on country. We talk about that. But it's not the same standard everywhere. The cybersecurity is not local training. No, it's not local. It's still the same standard. So most of the time we are competing, you don't compete within people around you. That's why most I know when I see people competing with themselves. There's a lot of competition outside there. You think with outside the box, outside the environment. And that's why I can say that an employer can come from anywhere in the world to employ because the same principles. So it's not a local training. So when I teach you don't expect us to be teaching like we're teaching a local person. No, but you have to raise yourself to that standard. Because it's a global training. The training is global. So when you are looking at yourself, more raise yourself to that standard. And that's why I expect some of you, like Dave was saying, you should document your progress. Go to LinkedIn, see what people are doing. So cybersecurity is not local law. You should know that from now. It's a global thing where it can be employed at anywhere. It's the same principles. Okay, so you comply with government and industry specific regulations. You ensure security communication with clients and suppliers. As much as saying comply with government and industry specific regulation, this also can cost you a lot if you don't comply. And that talks about trust in business. Cybersecurity is about trust. Nobody will do business with you if they don't trust you. Nobody. Okay. Reduce the risk of being attacked, then gain competitive edge over competitor by providing more services. And that happens every time. You see, even some of these products, you see that they are writing ISO 9001. We talked about quality. You are seeing ISO 2000. And I wonder that what's that is ISO. Some of them are getting those certifications because of competitive edge over their competitors. But they want to be compliant because everybody that see that standard, they feel that they have trust. And trust in business is very important. And most of you are in cybersecurity, why does that concern me? If money does not come inside business, your job is aligned with the business aspect. And I told you guys that it's not about technical risks, it's about business risks. Everything I see now is not about technical, maybe it's majorly aligned with business risks, even in the industry. So everything I'm teaching is because you're making it aligned for most of you to see the perspective of a manager or from the management. And that's where they pay your salary. That's where you get the contract from. So everything you are doing is based on business risks. So those technical risks must align with the business objective of that organization. So we have network defense challenges. We have the distributed computing environment. So with the advancement in modern technology, like I said the other time, you have to improve yourself. You must be consistent if you want to be relevant. And to meet business requirement, like I told you guys, it's about business. Do you say anything regarding technical objective here? No, it's about business objective. And that's where we need to start telling most of you. Now, if you go to a lot of places, most of you just see through the jargons, where the technical aspect are good. But we want you to be able to convert that technical skills to a communicative skill to business skills. If not, you'll be stagnant if you even enter the industry. Most of you can be in entry level for 5 years, 10 years. So you need to start orienting to, like I said, see, cybersecurity is a mindset. And that's where we differ because we have this industrial experience. So when I teach you, we don't just teach you based on the books. No, we teach you to align it with the real industrial experiment or the industrial environment. Right. So, like I'm saying now, the advancement in modern technology is to meet business requirement, not technical requirement. So please note that. So anytime you're aligning you to cybersecurity, so that you can meet the business objective, and that's the goal of we coming here. Because we've seen the gap in the industry. I'm not just teaching you to be an actor and just roaming about. No. It's because of the gaps we see where we are working. And sometimes it can be overwhelming. I need a lot of people to align with those of business objectives. And that's why I say that this one is free. So you have the mindset already. So I'm not training people to just go and sit down in the next 5 years. No. It's for you to be able to do something in different industry, aligned. Okay. Networks are becoming vast and complex potential, of course, is a very vast developing area path. And of course, which lead to security vulnerabilities. So attackers are expose security vulnerability to compromise network security. So sometimes due to the distributed computing environment and emerging threats. So threats each day, you can see, evolve each day. In fact, if it's possible, say, you can say that each hour, but we should not exaggerate it. Let's just put it there at each day. So imagine I'm not reading each day. You become part of the problem. So there is discipline in this work. There's discipline. But there's a lot you are going to accept in this cyber entry is free. But by the time you are coming in, maybe for a class or you are coming into an internship, it's not just about learning about the books, it's about discipline. I've seen some people have not joined, and this is 1033. I tell you that security is a lifestyle. So all those things, for now, I'll not talk about them. But by the time you are developing, this is just for everybody to be coming in and we are retaining you. Now, it's just not for me to teach you about the technical jargons. It's also to teach you the mindset, like I told you, the mindset. Once your mind is changed, everything comes in. So network evolve each day. So network security attacks are becoming technically more sophisticated, even with the concept of AI, right? And better organized. So we still talk about some AI essentials, maybe in the next class. So most of you are familiar with AI. So what some of you even put in AI, some of you even drop all your details. AI is not totally secure. So there's some of these things we learn and also how to get more information from AI. Organizations are falling to defend themselves against rapid increasing network due to the lack of network security skills. And this is where Sardonyx comes in because we've seen this a lot of times. Lack of professionals. A lot of people make noise. A lot of people don't know the work. That's the problem. And till today, in statistics, you see every year, they still come that with a lot of people shouting cybersecurity. Statistics is saying that there's still a major problem in cybersecurity, which is lack of skilled professionals. And it's getting increasing every day because a lot of businesses are coming in every day. But almost all of them are saying that they have a cybersecurity person. But the problem is still there. It's skilled. It's not just being a cybersecurity person. And that's why that some people don't even have a cybersecurity department. They outsource it out, even though they say they have a CISO or whatever it is. So it's about the skills, which is very important. I will see these gaps. We've seen these gaps. So don't be part of these people that want to do wuru to the answer. It will not work. It still affects you as you go on. So make sure you learn it, to change your mindset, you are disciplined. So we have type of network defense approaches. We have the preventive approaches, right? So this consists of methods or techniques that are used to avoid threats or attackers on the network. So it's preventive, right? So you want to prevent someone from, it can be, let's say, an entry point, a gate. So you are preventing someone from coming in. That's preventing approaches. Most of them can be physical approaches, can be physical controls. So although I still put some of these in this configuration when I talk about administrative controls, majorly physical and technical controls. We have reactive approaches. This consists of methods or techniques that are used to detect, example, these are TM tools, they detect, right, attacks on the network. IDS and IPS, they fall in this category, reactive approaches. You have retrospective approaches. This is majorly based on forensics. This consists of methods and techniques that examine the causes. So this is under forensic. There are retrospective approaches. Then we have proactive. This is very important. And this is where people laugh. Most, like I said, this is what I mean by reactive and proactive. Before, defense was just reactive, in which that they just look at things from a reactive view. That means it's until something happens that they are alerted. They are just looking at, okay, this is what the attacker can do. They work based on the rules. That means based on past events. Example, if I'm securing a building now, and I'm just a policeman, I'm not a detective, right? What I'll do is that I'll protect the building based on what attacks have been done in the past. If nobody has stolen from the roof before, I'll not think of securing the roof. It's until someone steals from the roof, that when I now remember that, it's true, I can secure the roof also. That's reactive. So they wait until something happens before they react. But proactive is now before they even attack you, you are being proactive. That means you are thinking ahead of time. That's being proactive. So this consists of method or technique that is to make informed decisions. Okay, so we have some network security controls, right? And I'm going to be mentioning each of them. We're going to go deeper, not really deep. We're going to look at the overview as we move on. We have the administrative security controls, right? So the management implement administrative controls to ensure the safety of the organization. We'll talk about regulatory framework compliance, what you need to do, security policies, employee monitoring and supervising, information classification, security awareness and training. And it's so funny that this security awareness and training is majorly underrated sometimes. Now, it's different that people are trained though. A lot of people are trained, but they are not aware. Awareness is different from training. Now, I can train you to get the knowledge or something. Okay, I can train that, okay, you can be a CH person, you know the tool. For example, if someone is doing social engineering on you, you might not be aware that you are not meant to pass out this information, even though you are trained. You might not be aware. So awareness is consciousness. I mean, putting a consciousness in you what to do and what not to do. You might have the skills of what to do part time. But awareness is something you need to relate as much as possible. That means I'm building a consciousness in you. That's awareness. So some people do security training, but they don't do security awareness. And it becomes a lot of because people don't know the value of the information they hold. That's one of the problems. And that's why social engineering will still be effective till tomorrow. To maybe to Jesus come, will still be effective. As far people are not aware of those information. They're not aware. So awareness is very important, as much as training is also important. Then we talk about physical controls. So this, like I told you before, these are preventive approaches, right? You remember that we talk about preventive approaches. So you can see here. So the set of security measures are taken to prevent unauthorized access to physical devices. So you have the locks, you have the fences, you have the bar system, you have the security guards, you have the CCTV, you have the motion sensor, and so on and so forth. You have the security controls, you have the access control, you have authentication, you have the authorization, you have auditing, you have security protocol, you have network security devices. We still go into them as we move on, so you understand better. So let's talk about some of these network security protocols. I gave you guys some assignments in the first class. And so please, if you have not done it, still go back and do it. Network protocols and their functions. You can't be a good security person without understanding that. Either you're going to forensics, either you're going to incident response, either you're going to SOC, either you're going to IoT and nothing defense, either you're going to AI security, either you're going to auditing, GLC, offensive security. If you don't understand these basic things, you can't survive. So those are the baseline. So you must understand security ports, the functions, and their port number, the protocols. Very, very important. Because that is what you are building on. That's the foundation. If the foundation is not strong, you know what will happen. Okay. So let's talk about some of them. Just to recap. We have the remote authentication dial-in user service, which we call the radius. And what do we use radius for? Is an authentication protocol. So note this is an authentication protocol. That means to verify an identity, right? So we have what we call IAM now. Right? That's access management. So radio is an authentication protocol which provides centralized authentication, authorization, and accounting for remote access server to communicate with the central server. So sometimes I might not have the device itself authenticated. I might need if I'm working with a large end users, I might need a centralized authentication services. That's where Radius comes in, right? So Radius, just know that Radius is an authentication protocol. Don't let me take you through some technical aspects regarding it, but want you to know that it is an authentication protocol that provides a centralized authentication. Okay. They have TACAs, which we call the Terminal Access Control System. We call it TACAs Plus. It's also like Radius, right? So it's used for the same thing, authentication, authorization, and accounting. So, and this can be for switches, routers, and firewall. So this guy encrypts the communication between the client and the server, including the user password, which protects it from sniffing attack. That is TACA. So TACAs and radios, they are both used for authentication, for etc. That's what you should know, right? But I'll give you an assignment. I want you guys to go and learn about the difference between radios and TACAs. So someone should me drop it in the chat, but what is the difference between radios and TACAs? There's a difference between them. So in the next class, I'm going to ask what's the difference between radios. But what is major between them that they are what authentication protocol for a centralized server, right? Example, we have like 5 buildings. I want to be authenticating. I can use radios. Example, in a school now, right? I want to give all of you Wi-Fi. All of you cannot be authenticating with the Wi-Fi device. We need a centralized server where all of you can authenticate for that Wi-Fi. So I want to provide Wi-Fi for the whole school. and I want to give a username and password for you to be able to access the Wi-Fi device or access point, right? You cannot be accessing that device, it's too small to accept all of you. If not, that router will shut down. I guess. So what I can do is I can implement radios where all of you can testate on radios and give you access to that Wi-Fi. That's what it means. So they both do the same thing, but I want you to give me the difference. I want you to learn about the difference. They have Kerberos. Kerberos is an authenticating method for accessing a network. This is majorly used in Microsoft. And the last time we talked about password cracking, but let me go back to that. Uh, let's talk about some things regarding password cracking so you understand Kerberos. Okay, let me share the window. Okay. So let's talk about Windows authentication. Please, can you all see my screen?
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Yes, we
So
can see your screen.
thank you very much. So you have different, this one talk about hashing, Windows hashing algorithm. Right. Now, example, let's say for the first time, right, I have, this is my Windows, right? Let's say for the first time I bought a system, I want to put my password. So let's say my password is Ade. My password is Ade. Now, what do you think will happen with this Ade for the first time? What happens is that this guy will go through an hashing process. Call it hashing. Now, when I get to cryptography, I realize the difference between hashing and encryption, probably. So, but let me just talk about this. It goes to hashing algorithm. So, what is hashing? So, hashing is like a one-way function, one-way irreversible function. So, we are not going to map, but this is what I mean. So, if I'm doing hashing, what I'm doing is that I'm adding Gary with hot water to give me a bar. What means that this bar cannot go back. Cannot go back to Gary plus water, hot water. Is that correct? So that was hashing it. So when you add, that means you are converting a plain text to an hash. So an hash can be any nonsense. This Ade can turn to anything. It's all this long nonsense, right? So for Windows, we have hashing algorithm like HTLM, which is version 1 and version 2. Just know this, we call it HTLM. That will happen on your Windows. So when this goes through the hashing algorithm, it gives me an hash. So let's say the hash is XXYY. That means I'm converting this Ade. This Ade is plain text. That's your password. That's what you know as your password. You say you are using Ade. But it's going to store this XXYY in the server or the controller or anyone. Let's say the authentication server. Let's go to authentication, can be anything. Authentication server or your Windows system. If this hashing is going to store, it's not going to store Ade as plain text. So anytime you are now logging to your system, well, I'm pressing Ade anytime I'm logging to Windows. That's what you realize. I'm pressing Ade, I'm not pressing XXYY. But how does he know that Ade is correct when he's storing these hashes? That's what's in our head, right? Now, this is what it does. Because this guy is irreversible, anytime you want to log into your Windows system, you notice something, it takes a time to load. What is it doing when it's running? Did we notice that it takes a time to run? Let me say emotions if you notice that. Anytime you press your password on your system, Windows system, it takes some time to load. Do we notice that? So Once it's rolled, what is it doing when it's rolling? This is what it's doing again. It's doing this process all over again. So anytime you press your password on your Windows system, it's going through this process. And what does it do? Remember that on this authentication server, it has stored excess YY. So that means this saved hash, saved hashes must be equal to the new one it does for you to have access to your system. That means this saved hashes must be equal to the new hashes. So anytime if example, if you now put Kunle there, remember that this Kunle will not give me excess YY. So if you tell it that was incorrect username and password. So that's what happens on your Windows authentication. So anytime you see hashes, that's what it means. And major these guys are used for, we still talk about integrity when we get to cryptography as we go on. We have for others. But for Windows system is HTLM. Most of you use HTLM version 2. That's the hashing algorithm it does. That's the hashing algorithm. Do you have any questions? Okay. Don't worry, still go for a break. Definitely. Okay, so let's go back to Kerberos now, right? So, of course, we are seeing these hashes, this is what it means, the authentication server hashes. So remember that when you put in your username and password, it saves the hashes in the authentication server. So anytime you are putting your password of Windows, it goes through the process again. So by the time you attack a Windows system, you are not seeing AD, you are seeing the hashes. So it's that hashes you need to crack. Maybe using join the reaper, whatever it is. So anytime you attack a system, you are not seeing the real password. Although if you're attacking a server, some people can save information in the server as plain text. That's different from a Windows system. If you're attacking maybe a Windows server, even a Windows server, right? You are seeing hashes. So it's that hashes you are cracking. So if everybody tell that they hack a system, they are seeing plain text, it's a lie. It's hashes you see. So it's that hashes you need to go and crack. And that's why majorly myself, I don't actually even waste time on password cracking. I don't do that when there's vulnerability exploitation. Okay, so what is Kerberos? Kerberos is now what Windows uses, Microsoft majorly. It is an authentication method for accessing a network. So instead of you just accessing your Windows, there's something you call a ticket granting service. So anytime you log into your system and want to go to Microsoft, you need to authenticate yourself again. Right? Where it's going to give you a ticket to have access to any Microsoft um, service. That's what Kerberos does. It uses a ticket granting service. Time for every service you are going, you are using a ticket to go. So it's not like you use your password and you have access to all service. No, it doesn't work like that. So this one is for every service. So let's say someone has access to your password and they can't just go to any of the service, your Microsoft account. They need to use Kerberos. Although there are different attacks on Kerberos, but that's not for this stage. Okay. So we have the pretty good service, which is for email, privacy, digital signatures. We have for the multi-purpose internal mail. Okay, let's stop here for now. Let's take a 10 minutes break. So we'll be back by 11:05. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I'll see you again by 11:05. So for people that want to come into defense, so these are some of the things you are seeing now. You need to understand a lot of things, both from offensive view, be able to defend it. As much as ethical hacking is very interesting, you are doing some mention defensive like that, or a little bit more logical, right? This is where you know that you need to sit down, understand the architecture. You are looking from both your work and from the offensive view, right? So, okay, so we stopped at secure hypertext transfer protocol. Now, most of you have heard about HTTPS, which is very common, but most of you have not heard about SHTTP application. Now, what this guy does, why is different from HTTPS is because, okay, let me explain that. Let's go to, I'll make an illustration for you. Okay, HTTP. So this is system A, this is system B. So this is still your HTTP, right? Your HTTP connection. So this is what I mean by SHTTP. So let's say I want to send a message, I. So what SHTTP is talking is that there's a crypto smart, right? Like crypto is already encrypted, right? So it can even go through an unencrypted channel. So what this means that what it will have been encrypted even before sending. So I can even decide to send you on HTTP, but the message be secure even before going. So that way I'm seeing something like a crypto smart in your book. Of course, this is already encrypted. So you can even go through an unencrypted channel. That's what I mean by secure HTTP, SHTTP. But for HTTPS, this is the difference. This is system A, this is system B. So instead of it going through, let me use another color. So instead of it going through this guy here, which is HTTP, what it does is that it creates a secure channel either through SSL. Let me use another brighter color green. Okay, I think it's better. So it's creating a secure channel either through SSL or TLS. So here, the iMessage will be converted to an encrypted format, right? Which is passing through this channel. So it'll have created an SSL or TLS communication, and it's going through this encrypted channel. So that's the difference between HTTPS and STTP. So this S is either SSL or TLS. So what is TLS? That's a transport layer security. So they work for client server. SSL also does the same thing. SSL is secured socket layer. So, and this was by Netscape. Those are people that started this protocol. But although we still talk about some of this, and with my years of experience, this is a major problem because if you don't encrypt this very well, there's an attack called man in the middle attack, which can be very susceptible to. Because this guy still works under cryptography. We still talk about some of these cryptography algorithms used both for SSL and TLS. So that is SSL, that is TLS. Okay. It's okay if I end this thing for the first time. It's fine. You don't need to go back to them. So just like I said, this ATP, as you can see, it goes to encryption and is encrypted, either TLS or SSL. And just like I said, it's used to protect man in the middle attack. So this is the guy here. This is the man in the middle here. So we talk about TLS, we talk about SSL, and we have the IPsec, that's Internet Protocol Security, IPsec. So IPsec is a network layer protocol that ensures secure IP level communication. So this guy provides end-to-end security at the internet layer of the Internet Protocol suite. It encrypts and authenticates each IP packet in the communication. It works exactly. This is also the protocol that works under VPN. Although I still talk about VPN technology by the time we get there. Most people have a different concept of VPNs. And most people think they can be completely anonymous using the VPN they're using. The VPN you're using is just a proxy. It works exactly like a proxy. Although we still talk about that concept where we get there. So that's just for IPsec, right? So IPsec is just a internet protocol layer security. That should stick to it. IPsec is IP security. Okay, so we talked about, in this module, we talked about information assurance protocols. We talked about confidentiality, integrity, availability. We talked about non-reputation. We talked about authentication, right? We also talked about why we need network defense, why it is important. We talked about different approaches. We talked about the preventive approaches. We talked about the reactive, the proactive, the retrospective approaches. I gave an overview regarding the controls. I told you about the physical controls, administrative controls, and technical controls. And we also talked about different network security protocols, but it's not limited to this. These security protocols are not limited to this. So please still go back to the assignment I gave you, right, regarding network ports and their functions. Right. And I also told you now, I'm giving an assignment to rate the difference between radios and attackers. So please note that in your book. Okay, let's go to module 2. So module 2 talks about identification, authentication, and authorization. So for some of you now to be an identity access IAM, identity management, this is an overview for you, right? To understand what identity is. And it's actually a very, very lucrative aspect now. A lot of companies are looking for people to understand IAM, that identity access management, like banking system, anything that has to do with authentication. So it's also under defense. So you can decide to under defense, now even under defense, I'm even giving area of specialization. So security is wide. But now it's not a specialized aspect. I am, although to me it's not really specialized, but of course, my view cannot be everybody's view. So in a large environment, it can be actually very complex. Yeah, because as an example, like a data center can be very, very complex, like people providing cloud services, IAM can be very, very complex. So it's a new aspect and it's very, very not actually new, but just new in terms of specialization. So just like I said, we are going to be talking about IAM, user access management, different type of authentication and authorization. Now, all these ones are measured also for confidentiality and majorly about confidentiality. So we have access control. What is access control? So access control is the selective restriction of access to an asset or a system, network, or resource. So it's a selective restriction. Example, if I have a building or an organization, I can decide to do access control, right? In which that I can say that, okay, receptionist cannot message finance department, but finance department can call reception. And most of the time, when we are doing this is to restrict information. And one of the things that one of the layer of security, one major thing you need to know about security is segmentation. If you don't segment your network, you're as good as dead, because if it's a centralized network, once I attack one person, I can attack everybody. But if you segment your network, if I attack one person, doesn't mean that I will attack everybody. And it's even easier to troubleshoot and also contain attacks. So let's say a department is being affected, does not mean that every other department will be affected. So access control is also limiting access. That means I'm doing selective access, because it's not compulsory that two departments must always communicate with each other. No. If they don't have any business, they don't need to communicate. So even though someone attack a particular department, it does not mean that to communicate with another department. So that was talk about access control. So we are doing selective restriction based on what they need or what they need to communicate on. Example can tell that, okay, they can only communicate on FTP, they can't communicate on SSH based on their needs. So that is access control. So it protects the information asset by determining who can access it. Exactly. So the selective access. So access control mechanism uses user identification, authentication, and authorization to restrict or grant access to a specific asset or resource. So you have some access control terminologies. You have the subject. So the subject is a person that wants to access a resource. That's the subject. Example, you want to go to Facebook. You are the subject. You are the one that wants to access Facebook. So you are the subject. So anybody that wants to access a resource is the subject. We have the object. What are you accessing? Which server are you accessing? So if you are going to Facebook, that Facebook is the object. That Facebook server is the object. So that is the resource you are accessing. We have the reference of monitor that check the access control rule. That means are you meant to have access based on this? For example, if you are trying to access another person's account, you don't have access. That will look at the reference rule, right? That are you meant to have access? Then you have the option that represent the action taken by the subject on an object. What it means that do you want to upload a file on your Facebook account? What are you doing? Because you help us to do accounting. Are you purchasing something? Let's say you go to Jumia. What are you doing? I want to purchase a bag. That is the operation you are doing. Now, the reference monitor means that what do you even have access? Are you meant to have access to that particular information? Yes, if you are meant to have access, fine. Operation, what are you doing? What action are you taking on that object? That means I want to go to Jumia and buy something. So those are the access control terminologies. They also have access control principles. So please, all these things are very important, very, very important. So access control principle, we have the separation of duties. So this involves a breakdown of the authorization process in various steps. So it talks about what you are meant to, like your JD now. That's what it means, job description. So there are different privileges that are assigned at each step to the individual subjects requesting for resource. But this is the function of separation of duty. This is what makes it unique. No single individual has the authorization right to perform all functions. So there's no alpha and omega because of internal attacks. Now, this is majorly used for internal attacks. So not just one person can have access to everything. So if you are doing something wrong, another person can actually know. That's what it means. So you are not the alpha and omega of access. So that's separation of duties. So you are only assigned the authorization for your position or for your identity, anyone that it talks. But separation of duties say that no single individual has the authorization to perform all functions and simultaneously deny access to all of them. So not just one simple person. What about the person is compromised? Because even the CISO does not. That's what separation of duties is saying. So let's say someone is compromised, we can easily know. But inside attacks is another very, very expensive kind of attack that can cost a company a lot of things. So one way to do that to actually mitigate, you can't solve all those problems actually. That's why I have risk management. But one of the things that can be is separation of duties. And also in Nigeria or in any country, see that there's no one agency. We have different agencies. So there's no agency that is alpha and omega. So in case one is saying there are different separation of duties, then the need to know. So understand the need to know access control principle. Access is only provided to the information that is required for performing a specific task. So that means that giving information that is needed, what you need to know for that task. As a user, those things you need to know. You don't need to know more than that. For example, most of you don't know how your data is moving or where it is kept. It's not your business to know. Then principle of least privilege. Now, this is very, very, apart from zero trust, this is very also important, especially in like organization also. Then this is an extension of need to know principle in providing access to the system. So it believes in providing employees a need to know access, not more or not less. That's the strength of principle of least privilege. So that's what that needs to stick to it. You don't need to know more than the information you need, and you don't need to know less than what you need. So it's the exact information you need for that or for your job is what you are given to. So there's nothing like you are gaining extended access. Even though someone attack your system, it's only what you have access to is what they also have access to. Right. So they won't have more, they will not gain escalating privileges because it's whatever you have access to is what they will also have access to. Let's even say you are compromised, which will reduce the risk of the whole organization being compromised. Okay. There are different access control models. So access control models are the standards which provide a predefined framework for implementing the necessary network level access control. To have the MAC, that is the mandatory access control, which thought that only the system admin or the system owner has the right to assign privileges. It does not permit the end user to decide who can access the information. So it's only the admin or the system owner that can say that where I am the owner of this information. They have discretionary access control, which says end users has complete access to the information they want. Yes, they do. They have access to the information they want. Some of this time you can do this also. And let me see. Let me look for a simple file and let's work on that. Let me look for a simple file. Okay, let me just copy this. So let's say I have a file here. So this is a file here. So I can look at more information regarding this file. Let's say properties, security. Now look at this permission for this, right? That means system group user has permissions. Please, can you all see this? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can see your screen.
Okay, thank you. So Sardonyx has permission. Admin also has permission. So if it is admin, now most of you know that you have three accounts on your system. You have the admin account, you have the group account, you have the user account, you have the guest account, right? So that's why sometimes you are a user naturally in your system. But if you notice sometimes, like a Windows system, it allows you naturally to upgrade to admin. So sometimes we are installing an application, it asks you that user access control, we call it UAC, right? That means to give admin privilege to a particular resource. So I can decide that, okay, what do I want? I can decide to this person cannot read and write, this person can read, this person can write, they have special permission. I can give them full control, right? So that was talking about map and that. But for map, only the admin or the owner can determine this. But for that is discretionary access control. If you are just the end user in that environment, they can give you access to your own information. Right? But for map, only the admin or the owner has information. Are we following? We are going to do a little math regarding this. I'm going to go to my virtual world now so that I know some of you don't like math. It's not like Masha, but let's me quickly go to my virtual world. We'll just do a little get to know about. Don't worry, if you can't see my screen, no, it's fine. I'm not yet sharing. So as some of you will understand Linux system. Let me see which one work. Yeah. So let me just do this now. So how can I see my screen?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Okay, let me go through the command and let's look at some file permissions. Share some file here. Okay, so this like a normal file system in a Windows system. I want to look at permission. What are the permissions I need to know? So there are different permissions that I can give. We have the read, we have the write, we have the execute, right? So how do I do that on a Linux system? It's just to do ls means list. I'm going to list everything. In a Windows system, you use dir, that's directory. So if I'm doing lsla, you can see I can see this file permission. For example, look at this guy here. This is read and write, right? For the owner. We have the group, we have the end user. So these are read dash dash. You can see this is read dash dash. So you have the read, write, and execute. Now this is a directory. Now if you see the info, it means a directory. It's fine if you don't understand it for the first time, but we do the math over the God these things, right? So this is read, write, execute. So this XM is execute. That means I'm giving this guy the whole permission. This person can read, this person can write, this guy can execute. So these are different permissions, but there are three major permissions, like I said. This is read, this is write, and execute. So there are different five permissions that I can give. And the other permissions also. So the more we go, the more you understand. So it's not just about file, permissions in different levels. But you can give someone a read permission, a write permission, or an executable permission. So let's say I want to change permission now. I can say CH mode. I have to give CH mode means that I'm changing the mode. 777, this is where I'm going. Why am I putting 777? Or if I'm putting 604, what do they mean? So let's quickly go to okay. Let's come to this. So you have the read, we have the write, we have the execute. So this is read, this is write, this is execute. So these are different permissions you can give on a system. So it's a Linux system and not just something that you just do like we do on Windows system. No, this one is command line stuff. So how do you give a particular file permission, whatever it is? So it's just the binary we did the other time. So I'll be like, we are going back to this binary. It's fine. So 0 means I'm not giving permission. 1 means I'm giving permission, right? And here we are going to talk about the decimal implication, the decimal format of this. So you can still go back to your 2 raised to power 0. And let me read this. I'm just bring this here. Okay. So remember that we still have our 2 raised to power 0, 2 raised to power 1, 2 raised to power 2, 2 raised to power 3 for decimal. This is 1, 2, 4, 8. So this is decimal. So this box is for decimal. This line segment is converted to decimal. So if you want to give someone only read permission, that is 1, right? I told you that if I don't want to give someone permission, 0 means well, no permission. Just like I'm saying 0 of 1 on. 1 is I'm giving the person permission. So that is what we do in the digital world, though. No, now we are talking about binary, we're not talking about quantum computing. People are using binary. So 0 and 1. It's also from digital electronics, 0 and 5 volts. If it's on, 5 volts. If it's not on, 0 volts. So if I'm giving someone already permission and I'm not giving someone right permission, that's 100, right? So for a group, this is 100 now. This is 001. That is 4 plus 0 plus 0. That's got to 4. So the binary here is 4. Right. So I'm giving someone only read and write permission. That is 010. So that is 010 is 2. If I'm giving someone only execute permission, that is 001, which is 1. in binary. Let me rule all this. So I still go back to my virtual web so that I see why this is important. So I'm giving someone just read and write permission. That is 110. In binary, I'll be in decimal 110. That's 4 plus 2. That is 6. So please, if you don't understand what I'm doing here, go back to the first video of this class. That's where we did binary analysis, binary conversion rather. If I'm giving someone write and execute permission, that's 110. That is 2 plus 1, that is 3. But if I'm giving someone all access, that means I'm giving someone read permission, write permission, execute permission, that is 7. So if I go to my virtual web now and I'm changing mode, so let's say I want to give this web pen test now, this file here. I want to give it now. Look at this file down here. Please, can we all see what I'm highlighting here? What permission does this guy have? He has a read, write, read, write, read. He doesn't have any executable
Yes,
permission. Do we see that? Now, I want to give it all permission. What does 7 mean? Remember, 7 is read, write, execute. Now, there are different segments. This is for the owner, this is for a group. I want to give all of them read, write. That's where I'm getting my 7 from. So by the time I copy this guy here, so I'm saying that this web pen test script that I made, I want to give you read permission or permission. By the time I press enter, you can see I've done that. By the time I check my permission again, can you see here now that he has all permissions? That is read, write, execute. So that way we are getting the number from. If I put 6, you should know what 6 means now. 6 means that I'm giving the permission to only write and execute. So let me go back to it again. So if you want to screenshot, you can screenshot. So you always remember by the time you go back to your Linux system what these things means. So let me give a minute to screenshot this. Okay, I expect that you have done that. So let's go back to our module. They have the role-based access control, which permissions are based on user role. And this is very, very interesting sometimes because let's say I have a very large environment, enterprise environment. I cannot be telling that I'll be giving permission to, let's say, Ayodeji. I'll give permission to Adeleke. I'll give permission to Adesola. I'll give permission to Atwin. I cannot be doing that. But what I'll do is I'll give permission based on your role in the organization. So if they decide to promote you tomorrow, I don't need to be changing your permission. You just have the permission of that role. That's what they mean by role based. So if you are, let's say, a Office 365 admin, you have the role of Office 365 admin. Let's say you are a product or a software engineer, you have the role of a software engineer. Let's say you are the junior software engineer, you have the role of a senior software engineer. So let's say if they promote you or degrade you, I just attach that role to your name. That's all I need to do. Because I'm giving permission based on role, which makes it very simple. So that is role-based access control. So every role has their own what? Control access based on example, if it's a normal conventional military parastatal, it's based on a role that you have access now. So if you're a sergeant, this role should, but not on your name. It's based on that rank. That's exactly what I mean by role based. So you are giving permission what you are meant to do based on rank. The general, nobody will mention on it. Are you a general? This is what you are meant to have. This is what you are meant to do. Exactly that one means. There are the rule based. Rule based just like role based. But these are based on set of rules defined by the administrator. Now, role-based can be general, can be generic, but rule-based is now defined by you, maybe based on organization or based on what you are doing. That is rule-based access control, right? So those are different access control models. So we've talked about this dark mark role-based. Although in enterprise environments, we have tools that we use for this. Right. We have the Windows admin, WAC. We have just enough administrator on PowerShell. We use manage engine also. Manage engine is also very, so we use manage engine enterprise. So we have a lot of tools that different organizations with different tools. They have the IAM, which is Identity and Access Management. And this is a very interesting aspect nowadays that people are looking for resources there. So especially cloud, that knows cloud environment also. So for people that want to learn specialized courses, it's not that you can't learn specialized courses, but you need to know from the basics. You can see here, this is under network defense. So once you understand everything in your skill, then you can now put you into your specialization for those courses. So identity and access management is responsible for providing the right individual with the right access at the right time. Timing is also very important. Right? So it's not just the right access at the right time. Example, people that are on shift, it must be it's timing. So that means if you log out of particular hours, you don't have access again. So timing is also very important. So where we have the authentication, authorization, identity management, and the repository. But this is just a simple architecture where you have the HR, the customer relationship, then what are the identity repository, then the access to applications and things like that. Okay. Then we have different kind of authentication. We have the password authentication, which is common. We have the smart card authentication. We have the biometric. Now, password authentication, this talks about something you know. Smart card, something you have, right? Something you have. I had a note. Never mind. Okay, let me just add it here. So, password authentication. Of course, password authentication, that means the password is something you know. Then we have the smart card. This smart card can also be a token. Anyone, most of you use token. So for smart card, it's something you have. You put in your pocket now. Something you have. Then you see this biometric. Biometric is something you are. It's something you are. So something you are. I think that you are. So that's it. So that's the concept of something you have, something you know, and stuff like that. Okay. They have the two-factor authentication, which is very good, right? Two-factor authentication. So you can use two models to authenticate just one person to be sure that is the right person. Just like your social media, please always use two-factor authentication. Now, if I'm saying, example, if I'm giving a policy that password should be strong, don't mistake it that that password cannot be cracked. It can be cracked. There's something we call hacking value and hacking time. Example, if I'm telling you to use 12-letter phrase word with a numeric and special case word, it's because I'm luring the attacker away from it. It's not that the attacker cannot attack you, no. Example, special word, if you are looking at some algorithm, it takes more time before you run through those brute words. And of course, you need a lot of resources. It depends on the GPU, the processor, and the RAM you're using to crack that password. So of course, how much do I have that someone come and well, there might be specific information, but if I'm putting something there and it's taking like 5 years for him to crack, if we look at the value of what you want to get and the timing, if the time is more than the value, it will lure the attacker away. But if you are putting a simple password, it's because you can lure the attacker to yourself. Of course, because the hacking time can be proportionate to the hacking value. So people don't act because they want to hack, there's also a value for it. You can see that some attack can be 10 years because if they get that value, they can start to retire at the end of the day. So when I'm putting policies, it's not that because that thing cannot be attacked, it's because you are trying to what make the timing much more than the value of what they are looking for. So you can lure the attacker away. The same thing with two-factor authentication. Not that there are no measures for us to get that or crack that two-factor authentication, right? But because we are making it harder, we are adding to the hacking time. And they look at the value with the hacking time, it doesn't make sense. So what happened? The attacker just decide, what? Let me just move on. They have the single sign-on authentication. Also, they talk about password. talk about smart card, talk about biometric, we have the face fingerprint, retina, iris, voice, face, vein structure. In fact, this was my specialization one time. I think I've written two journals on this. One thing that Google is doing now, like I told you, there's also something that is being argued as a biometric, and that's key stroke dynamics. So there's an argument that no two people type the same way. So that's biometric. And this biometric is also not perfect. It's based on machine learning, right? They learn. And that's sometimes two people, because look at the features of your face. It's not that you just see your face. No. The way the system sees your face is different from the way we are seeing your face. You have to pick out features and learn about those features. That's why sometimes you look at some Apple phones, you can see that two people that look alike might open each other's phone. Yes. So it's based on features. So when the machine is learning, it's learning based on features. So if the features look alike, example, if the child is writing one, they may look like seven, is it not? That's the way the system also says. So the more that we have mentioned like false acceptance rate, error acceptance rate, and so on and so forth. Let me go deep into that. For some people that will come for those things, you go deep into that. You have two-factor authentication, you have single sign-on. Now, authorization. Authorization can be in two categories. We have the centralized, we have decentralized. So authorization can be on a single centralized unit. I remember when I'm talking about centralized, let your mind go back to trackers and radios. Don't forget. When I'm talking about centralized, let your mind go back to, we talk about trackers and radios this morning for AAA. So it maintains a simple database, right? So this is where you know that, they've talked about this, so trackers and radios. So it is an easy and inexpensive approach, yes, because you don't need to be buying servers. So it's just centralized. But centralized, that means each network resource maintains its authorization units and perform its authorization locally, like your system. That is decentralized. Your system alone, when you are logging in, that is decentralized authorization. So it maintains those database, like your system is stored in the SAM database. SAM is Security Account Manager. On the Linux system, is stored on the shadow file. But on your Windows system, it is stored on the Security Account Manager. That's where passwords are stored. And remember that the passwords are not stored in plain text, so they are stored in hashes, and they are stored in the SAM file. So if I'm marking your system, I'm pulling that hashed password from the SAM folder. Then we have the implicit authorization, where user can access the request resource on behalf of others. That's implicit. But the access request goes to a primary resource to access the requested resource. But explicit, the organization requires separate authorization for requested resource. So this maintains authorization for each requested object. That's explicit. Then we have accounting. This keeps track of user action. Example, logs that are kept in the log. That means it keeps track of who, when, and how the user access the network. Everything happening in your system is actually logged. But now, that when you are coming to SOC, when we get people out to do SOC, that way you now categorize it. Because logs can be overwhelming. Yes. Imagine how much logs OP be generating per day. Imagine a attack now happen. It's not easy to do forensic. Millions of logs to be generated per day. So I need to be specific on what kind of logs actually I want to log. But accounting actually is logs. What happened, when it happened, how user access the network. So it helps in identifying authorized and unauthorized action. It also helps in data breach detection and forensic investigation. But this guy here, that's where we have advanced persistent threat, where you are making forensic very, very hard. So by next week, we still talk about forensic investigation, but we are not going deep. It's just an overview for you to have an idea what digital forensic is, right? So whatever aspects you want to go, you have an idea that, okay, this is what they do. And this is the knowledge I need to get there. It's not that you now learn essentials, you're not going to sit down, no. But you can see this is not even essentials. It's an overview of what, and also so that I not be lost in the wind. A lot of people are learning a lot of things that they might not need. because of the aspect they are doing. So understand your aspect. You can't know everything. That's what you should know from that. If I what makes us professional different from it, because I know what I know and I know what I don't know. But a newbie coming in believe that he knows everything. That is fine. You can't know everything. But what makes people professional is because they know what they know and they know what they don't know. It's that simple. So what I don't know, I'll source it out. That's why we have different departments. So what makes you a professional is that you know one thing very well. Now, as a consultant, I know a lot of things, which is fine, right? But I'm specialized in one thing. And that's where you're going now. You should understand what aspects you want to go to. Of course, you might need to unbank some things in different aspects. Example, if I'm telling someone that you need Python for this job now, it's not that you're not going to sit down with Python for 2 years. By the time you come back, you don't remember anything again. You pick what is needed in Python for your job, and you move on. Let anybody that wants to do data analysis go and sit down with Python, or someone that do AI, or someone that learns that go to go and sit down with Python. But if I say that I need something from this other aspect, it's because I need you to pick what is needed and you move on. It's that simple. That's why some of you are collaborating in different courses. You don't even know exactly what you want to do. They'll tell you that I need this one. You can't sit down and learn everything. You come back to this one, you don't remember again. So if I'm telling that I need something, it's because you pick what is needed in that other course for what is needed in your own track and you move on. That's all. Because if you are moving like that, you don't know anything at all. You don't collaborating. Okay. So look at accountability, identity, all right, authentication, who are you, right? That's authentication or your password or whatever it is. The authorization, what asset do you have? Can you write? Can you execute? Can you buy? Can you sell? What authorization do you have? Then to the objects. That's what accounting does. So you see that this person that is just a guest is having admin access, something is wrong. Okay, so that's about what we talked about, access control principles. Any question? Any question? So let me attend the
So
question.
please throw more light on accountability.
Okay, accountability talks about what you did, who did it. Just like it's under IT auditing. Okay, who stole this money when you did it? So it's just like your logs. What did you do? What did you have access to? That's what accounting is all about. That means track of what is happening, what you did, when you did it, and what assets you have. That is what they account. So you are giving an account, and everything is stored under logs. Okay, Damilola Oyeniyi, please go ahead.
Hello, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, please go ahead. Very well.
You talk about Python. I said if someone is going to application security engineer, is it necessary for someone to have front-end development skills to know everything about it, or is not necessary, sir?
Now, like I said, there are some things that you need. Like example, in Nigeria, a lot of people use JavaScript, right? So if you are doing application security, especially static code analysis, you might need to learn a lot of things based on the technology that is very familiar. Are you getting it? So it depends on the technology that is very familiar. I can tell you in Nigeria, a lot of people use JavaScript. So some people use the Django Python, but it's not as common as JavaScript. In fact, people are using TypeScript and a lot of things now, but you want to understand JavaScript, you understand. So it doesn't mean that you can't sit down with JavaScript. You don't need to understand how it works. And some things that relate security related. For example, I'm looking at JavaScript, I'm looking at some functions that should not be when you're coding. Example, eval function. Example, document.write functions. So once I see those functions, I flag it in your application. So it doesn't mean that you learn everything. No, you pick what is needed for your journey. Right. And some people even mistake application security. Because some people they don't know the difference between application security and DevSecOps. They mix it together. I've seen a lot of things like that. Some people don't know the difference between DevSecOps and application security. So when it's normal because of JDs, and that's when HR causes a lot of problems because HR don't even know what is needed. If you tell the conventional HR now, what are you looking for? If you are looking for an application security now, what is the exact job description? They don't know it. They just go to ChatGPT and copy one thing and it becomes a problem. Right. So you just have to be very careful with those things, but there are differences. But of course, you need to understand HR. That's the bad thing about it. So that's fair. Yusuf, Yusuf, you are raising up the hands. Okay, I can't hear Yusuf. Yusuf shaking now. Okay, is there any other person? Okay, please go ahead. Someone is asking a question. Please go ahead.
It's regarding jumping from one part to another that you mentioned. So
Yeah.
for me, that is SOC. I want to focus on SOC. But
Okay.
I actually like informed and advised that it is not bad for me to also have a knowledge of the offensive side.
Yes,
Which is
now. Yes, that's correct.
wanted to clear that. Thank you.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. So, like I told you, we don't want people that are reactive. Now, because of preference, right? Some people don't go to so directly, but if I'm an HR, I see someone that has escaping on an offensive, it's just a difference between a detective and a policeman. Who you prefer? A detective, of course, right? So, I need someone that, if I see someone that has an offensive perspective, right, I'll prefer that person than just a normal sub person. Yeah, that's correct. Okay. So let's go for a break. I'll see you guys by 12:05. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. So let's go to, we talked about type of controls, right? And I told you that there are different categories. Okay, there are administrative, there is physical, there's technical controls. So we're going to start with administrative controls. Although we've talked about some of these things before, right? We've talked about regulatory framework compliance. So it's often required for organizations to comply with some type of security regulations. Complying with regulatory framework is a collaborative effort between governments and private bodies to encourage voluntary, mandatory improvements to security. And thank God in Nigeria, yeah, we are having our own standard. Example, NDPR, we have some hats, and which is very good, even though we see some national standards, right? But it's still good. Yeah, we are open to some of those things. IT security regulatory framework contains a set of guidelines and best practices. For example, we have regulatory frameworks, we have PCI DSS, we have policies, and I remember we talked about difference between law, standards, and policies. So please, you can go back to the first video, we need to remember that. Now, why do organizations need compliance? One, it improves security. Right? IT security regulation and standard improve overall security organization by meeting regulatory requirements. So of course, they improve security because if they don't enforce some people, they will not decide to do anything. But they will not bother doing anything. Okay, please let me disable that person, man.
Bring pot and milk for me, 1 month only. Then bring that to me open the month.
Okay. So like I was saying, so if they talk to anybody at all, or they don't enforce some kind of security or some kinds of pressure, rather, some people not decide to do anything. I've seen some government parastatals and I've seen where people OSSS certificate expired on their head. In fact, there's a time, was it GT back on something that was in the news, that their domain expired. And I wondered that where are your policies? What happened? That your whole domain was hijacked and it expired. So if they don't enforce some people, they can decide not to work on anything. So that's why compliance is very, very important. Also, it improves security in turn, prevents security breaches, yes, but there's a way to do things which can cause loss to the company and maintain trust. One of the things is I've told you that major is based on business reason. Nobody's going to do business with you if they don't trust you, especially in this digital age. One thing that is very important is trust. Now, as an end user, most of you might not understand, but some of you that are in managerial positions, they understand what I mean by trust. But that's one reason that can drive your business. So when you see HRs or management enforces on things, because as an entry level person, you might not understand. But you are just collecting your salary, you are happy. You might not understand what is going on in terms of them to get those sales, those customers, for them to even agree to your solutions. So there are some perspectives you might never understand until you get to management. Right? So trust is a very, very important aspect in business as a business requirement. Okay. So identify which regulatory framework to comply. Yes, you can't comply. Now you need to understand your business objective and the mission. What is the mission of your company, and what industry do you fall into will determine the kind of framework you might adopt. Now you can adopt more than one framework. There are some that they are aligned with each other. Example, someone can say I want to do NIST and also follow SOC 2. It's fine. So you can decide to go through ISO 27001 and also go through SOC 2. Both of them comply with each other. So of course, you can have more than one implementation. Some people do PCI DSS, and of course, they still need to do ISO 27001 at the same time. They also need to do NDPR or GDPR. It's also fine. Right. So there are some that align with each other. So an organization needs to assess itself to determine which regulatory frameworks apply to it best. So for example, following this table, we can see different scope. We have the EPA. We talked about this the last time. That talks about it. We talked about SABLE, OSTIHAD. That talks about U.S. Public Company Board. We have the FISMA. We have the Gramlich Billiards. We have the PCI DSS. So for PCI DSS is very important. For most people into finance, one of the driving economies in Nigeria is finance, banking sector, maybe fintechs, maybe microfinance banks, like all these OPay, Kuda, they are now national microfinance banks. They are licensed for that. So, and one of the driving, most people don't want to go into finance, fintech, because it's a major driving economy. So one of the things that a security person also, no matter the country you are, you need to understand your economy threat scape, to understand where you want to work, how much you want to get, and things like that. Like I told you, there's a value for all these things. So you need to understand what is driving the economy. You need to understand where to position yourself. Some people say, I've been doing this, I didn't get a job, because you're not positioning yourself. Apart from that, you need to position yourself, even with the skills. Okay. So we'll talk about some of these PCI DSS, EPA, service of the habits. I've explained this in the last class, so that one's skipping it. I'm not talking about it again. So please, if you want to go through this, look at first video to be there. The first YouTube video. Okay, let's talk about security policies. We've not talked about security policy. Now, security policy is a well-documented set of plans, processes, and procedures, standards, and guidelines required to establish an ideal information security status of an organization. I told you that policies are made by the executive management of that company, right? So they are used to inform people on how to work in a safe and secure manner. That's our policies. They define and guide employee actions on how to do with organization-sensitive operation data and or resources. And you can never get out of policies, because it's one major thing. There's a way to do things, but some of you, now that's where I'm talking about awareness. One policy makes you do is that understand you are aware of what to do. So training people in different security awareness, and policy can bridge some of those gaps so that they are aware of ways to do things. The security policy is an integral part of an information security management program for any organization. Even now, when you are telling people to change their password, it can be very difficult sometimes. Some people will never hear. Some people will say admin. Some people, their MiFi password, admin. Some people, their hotspot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 2, 2, 2, 2, 7, 7, 7, 7 is normal. People are wired like that. And that was identity very effective. I think that people are wired based on their on tradition, education, environment. People are wired in those status. So it's not easy for some people to actually change. Let me give you a simple example. It's a specimen I've tried a lot of time. If I see someone within, I know there are people that are about 60 plus, 50 plus in our midst. Now, if I pick up an ATM card on the floor, what I'll just do is that, of course, that's why sometimes some ATM have stopped putting names on ATM. But all the time these people names on ATM, what I just do is that I'll go and check that name on Facebook. That's a simple analogy I'll do. Now, if the person is, let's say as of now, when this person is even low, let's say the person is about 50 and above, right? I'm so sure that that person's Facebook is very correct. It's not like some of you Gen Zs that your Facebook is never correct. Some of you say you are living in California, different things on your Facebook. But if you see all these old people, their Facebook is always correct, as in the school they went to, because during their old time, there's no technology. So they are looking for their friends. You see some videos, they are doing Kitty Grammar School. Some of you never put that in some of you put MIT in your Facebook account. I can bet like most Gen Z there, your Facebook account is never correct. Never. That information there is never, with the date of birth, is never correct. Right? But these other people is correct. And there's a 30% chance that the year of birth is also the PIN number. So what I just need to go and check is the year of birth. Because I know that year of birth is actually correct. So there's a 70% chance that the year of birth is also that man's PIN number. It's as simple as that, because that's the way they are wired. Is that for you to not tell that old man? No, don't use your date of birth as your password. He will never answer. Some of your fathers, you know that it's the year of birth they are using for their password or their PIN. But it's just 4 numbers. And the only thing they can relate to is their year of birth. If some of you say you are using your year of birth as password or your name, it's that simple. Because that's the way people are wired. People can't change that effectively. So some of the time, the attacker is not even looking at all these technical work. Sometimes it's just by observation. Most of you are not observant. And these are soft skills of an attacker. Understand people, understand environment. But these are also things that will make you create your word list. Example, I want to attack a Portuguese server now. I'm using English words. If you ever work, it might not work. It might not work. So these are some of the concepts you need to do as a person. You must be vast in knowledge as a security person. You must be observant as a security person. And why you must be observant is that some people that be working as an IT auditor or forensic. Imagine they stole 100 million in a particular environment. Trust me, those people that stole it, they know it's your company that they gave it to, one way or the other. And they know, in fact, they know your name, that you are the one coming to do this auditing. And they are so careless about your footprint. You're as good as gone. Because some of you will work in those kind of environment where you need to be doing forensic auditing, be looking at fraud analysis. So you can't just be careless with your movements, cannot be careless with your footprints and things like that. So as a security person must be observant. It's part of intelligence. And that's why I'm saying that it's not just about being brilliant. You must be smart and intelligent. It's basically intelligence. Okay. So that's where we talk about security policies. And what is the need for security policy? It provides consistent application of security principles throughout the organizations, ensure information standard compliance, limit the organization exposure to external information threat. That's correct. Outline senior management committed to maintaining a secure environment. Provide legal protection, because I told you that law and cybersecurity, they are brothers. So they are 5 and 6. So reduce the impact of a security incident and minimize the risk of a data breach. Now imagine you cause a company to lose about 100 million. How much are they paying you? So you're as good as gone. You go to court. Okay. What are the advantages of security policies? Now, some people find this. Now, sometimes this can be a bottleneck actually. That is correct. So that's where the management comes in. They must be dynamic. But when it comes to security, it still has to be strict. But sometimes security, that's where when you come from Nigeria course, we talk about employment, happiness, satisfaction in terms of training and awareness, right? So that there will not be bottlenecks in the company. But some of this time, most people pay policies to become bottlenecks. And the same thing are still affecting security. Because if you have disgruntled employees, one or the other, they not do your job well, it will affect cybersecurity. So these are cybersecurity not only about, it contains three things. Cybersecurity contains people, technologies, and there's one other one, I think policies. So it's PPT, people, yes, people, processes, and technology. That's the three things it contains. It contains people. So most people look at technology, they don't look at people. People are, that's why I say people are the weakest link in cybersecurity. But most people think of the technology and process, they don't think of people. Those three things are very important in security. So let me come again. We have the people, we have the process, and we have the technology. They are very important. By the characteristics of a good security policy, it must be concise and clear. It must be usable, economically feasible also. It must be understandable, realistic. That's another thing. It must be realistic. If not, people will not follow it. They will find a shortcut. And Nigerians are very good with that. So you must even understand, that's why you must understand people in your environment. Especially if you're a manager, if you are going to managerial processes. So by the time you see some things in some places, one way is also to make change, but in a respectful manner as a security person. But most of the time, they might have conventional HR, and that's what is happening in the world now. We are changing things from conventional HR to security HR. For some time, conventional HR might not understand a lot of things. So that's why there's a lot of job. No matter the aspect you are coming from, you can fit into security. But most of the time, conventional or generic position cannot work as a security person. It's different. It's different. In terms of management, in terms of processes, it's different. In fact, project management is different. A conventional project manager can not manage a security project effectively. So they need to understand the program processes. So some things are not realistic. And if it's not realistic, they will find another way. They will find a shortcut. At the end of the day, there will be bridges, there will be loopholes at the end of the day. Then it must be consistent, of course, open to change, procedurally tolerable, correct, legal compliance, and based on standards and regulations. So you have the key element of security policy: clear communication, brief and clear information, define scope and applicability, enforceable by law, recognize areas of responsibility, and sufficient guidance. Now we have different content of security policy. We have the high-level security requirements, which features the requirement of a system when implementing security policy that include discipline security, safeguard security, procedural security, and also assurance security. We have the We have the policy description based on requirements, based on operation, and allocation of security enforcement to architecture elements. So you can put it on systems. So these are typical policy document content. You can look at them online. Maybe a password policies. Now I'll show you some, but they are confidential because that's the bad thing about this. But you can see generic work online, right? But I can't just show you policies because some of them are actually confidential. So, but you can look at this. We have the enterprise information security policy. We have the issue specific. Now, enterprise specific, these drive an organization scope and provide direction to their security policies. Example, application policy, network device policy, backup and restore policy, system policy. So that's an enterprise. So that is to the organization scope. They have the issue specific. That means to a usage of technology. Example, wireless is to a usage. This for wireless, Google. Incident response, yes. Password policy related to password. So those are issue specific. Example, BYOD, be your own device. Policy for personal devices. We have system specific. So that is for configuring and maintaining a system. We have the DMZ, that is the demilitarized zone policy. Encryption, access control policy. So it can be any of these three. It can be enterprise, it can be issue specific, it can also be system specific. Then you must know this. But one of these will come here that about on Sunday, right? What are the internet access policies? Promiscuous means that what? No restriction on the internet. Nothing is blocked. Everybody can do anything. Which in an enterprise is not possible. You can't do anything. For some of you, you're using office network for stupid things, and that's where we see problems. You can't be downloading movies in fake website because it's only in the office that you see network. That's where you come and use the internet. You won't allow that. Most people don't allow that. In fact, by the time you are being forensic, you're so surprised where some malicious stuff are coming from. It's from stupid going to stupid websites. In fact, it's very disgraceful where some people go to in office days where they're using their phone to do. And some of you are like that, you know what you're using your phone to do. So don't come and do it in the office environment also. We have the permissive policies where when no dangerous services and attack are blocked. So policy begins with no restriction, but known holes blocked, known danger stop. So this is very common where some things are blacklisted, right? This is where you have some blacklisted website, which is not the best, but it's okay. Then we have the prudent policy. This one provides maximum security, where all services are blocked, but only safe services are enabled. Yeah, this is what they are saying here. Let me put some notes here. Let me put a note here. So this is what it's saying. Permissive means that what? Blacklisted application. So that means that what? Application are blacklisted. That means we know known dangerous application. But for prudent, whitelisted application. That means for prudent, everything is blocked, but only the application we want you to have access to will be given to you. That means, let's say we only want you to access Microsoft or only want you to access this and that. That's the only thing you have access to. Are we following? So that is prudent. Prudent is different from permissive. Permissive means that what? You can go anywhere, but I blacklisted some things that you can't go to. Prudent means that what? I blocked everything, but I whitelisted some application which you can have access to. That's the difference. They have the paranoid where everything is forbidden. No internet access, just like North Korea. You can't go anywhere. Nobody's coming in, nobody's going out. So that is paranoid. So when you think of paranoid, just think of North Korea. All right. Employee awareness as training. Now, one of the things you should know is that security training and awareness is as effective as the technology you're employing. Is as effective. You are spending 100 million on technology. That 100 million is as effective as you doing training for your staff. Let me give an example. If I go to the barracks now and I just go without a uniform, I'm a civilian. By the time I get to the door, of course, naturally, because I'm a civilian, they say, hey, where are you going to? They did not see me before. Because that's what the IPS and IDS will do. So they will block you that, no, we don't know you. But let's say I caught a general outside, right? And the general holds my hands. Will anybody ask the general that who is this? Even I'm not wearing any uniform, even though I look like a madman, as far as the general holding my hands, the guards at the security post, they not ask me who I am because a general is holding my hand. That's what happens in most organizations. But most staffs are not aware of the information, so they just hold that antivirus or that virus rather into the organization themselves. They are the ones that bring it in-house themselves. And the idea is to be looking at should he has permission. Okay. There's nothing I can do. They will never ask question because you're the one that brought in yourself. So it's very important. So security awareness is as important as all those security technologies. So an organization rather needs to provide formal security awareness training to the employees when they join and periodically thereafter. So it's a periodically thing. Maybe every year, every quarter. It's not that you teach it 1 year. and 5 years later is when you train. No, it's periodic. Thereafter, so employee knows how to defend, they follow security policies, they know who to contact, they can identify the nature of data, they can protect physical and informational assets to the organization. They have different methods to train: online training, classroom type, roundtable, secret ceremony, providing, making sure of him, conducting seminar. Now imagine if a regular staff that is not a cybersecurity person needs training. What about you that is a security professional? Think about it. If you are to find a conventional person that's in the industry to be trained on basic things, what about you that is a professional? How much more training do you think you need? So that's one of the things you must know. If you want to be in this job, training is part and parcel of it. And that's why I need to write certification. But most people need that trust. Certification does not prove your skills, it proves trust. That's why most people make mistakes. It does not prove skills, even though it proves skills to a limit, it also proves trust. So when people ask for certification, not that because they just want to, it's because of trust. Our job works with trust. That's the underlying word. We work with trust, even to employment. Okay. So employee awareness and training, security policies. So effective implementation, policies are to be followed and not enforced. So this is where you have a good environment. So you must create a good environment. So you can see that all these things are security based. So as a security department, you don't value some things though, because once you know that something is wrong with the employee, it's coming back to your department at the end of the day, because they can configure anything anyhow. Imagine someone that's going for 5 days, tell you to come and configure a router. Rather than low machine, you will not configure anything there. So you are in trouble. So you want to make sure that the person that's coming to configure the router, someone to come and do pen test now, and he has not eaten, he's not paid him, there will be problem. The pen test will never pen test. Nothing will happen. So policies, employee effectiveness is very important. So create awareness on compliance issues, help an organization enhance its network security. Okay, let's talk about some of these things. So we have some of these attacks, and they are based on social engineering. And social engineering is very effective. Like it takes about 70% of most attacks naturally. 70% of most attacks are based on social engineering. And now by today, most of them say that Yahoo, yeah, this social engineering is just like Yahoo actually. So that's just an aspect of it. Right. So we have areas of risk: impersonation, downside diving, emails, attachments, right? Then also data classification. So there are some data top secrets when you get to, yeah, still talk about data security. We have top secrets, secret, confidential, some are treated, some are unclassified. Just like we have in a conventional physical security, military and some others and so forth. So these we have top secrets which are not meant to go to, don't have access for it and things like that. Okay, so that's about that model. We talked about administrative controls, where we talk about, I told you to go back to the first video where we learned about different standards, PCI DSS, GDPR, Data Protection Act, and so forth and so on. We talk about security policies, we talk about training, security training and awareness. So let's go to physical controls. Now, physical control is the layer one. Remember the OSI layer. We talked about the OSI layer in the first video of this program, where we have from the physical layer to the application layer. So a successful unauthorized physical access may lead to theft, damage, or modification to the information system. I think there was a time they see that one hacker went to a bank and he went to the toilet and was hiding. We don't know if the thief was an hacker, but I can't remember the information again. But the shah said he hid in the roof, wanted to attack the system. So that is physical. That's a bit of physical security. But this one is very important. When we are talking about OT technology, people don't go into operational technology, even to IoT, ICE industrial technology. We don't play physical security at all. Even people that want to work in data centers, physical security is very, very, very important. It's also important in IT, but most people that take it very serious. One, industrial security, people that work in industrial environment. Because now most of those SCADA systems are on the network, right? They are not just automated and local, they are not automated and also on the internet, right? So okay. So physical breach can directly impact confidentiality, integrity, and availability of information and system. Imagine me just having access to a data center and the physical security is not tight, right? I can just take a file drive and corrupt everything now or steal data. There are some of these hacker tools in foreign environments. Some of them are also like criminals, like they carry guns. So you can see that most data centers are heavily secured, even with soldiers. They are not just secure, heavily secured in data centers, heavily secured. So physical security is the basis of information security program of any organization. So that's the first thing, is the physical layer. Any organization, people have to come in first now. So it's the baseline or the first step of security. So what are the physical security attack vector? We have floods, fire. And some of these things are very expensive. That's why sometimes you can't just data center anywhere. Because if flood happens or fire happens, that's millions of dollars is gone. Millions of dollars. In Nigeria, just to be a data center is about 4 billion naira. That's the least fees. 4 billion, imagine 4 billion just being like that. And it doesn't talk about maintenance. So the transformer you need to input, the light to consume, the HVAC systems. We're not talking about that. Just for the initial, the cooling system, what you need to do initially, the servers. That's the average cost. So imagine flood just spoiling everything or earthquake. I mean, that's 4 billion naira. So you have lightning and thunder, you have temperature and humidity. Then you have the man-made threat. Vandalism, of course, data loss, damage, theft, terrorism, social engineering, unauthorized access to systems. So you have different types of physical security control. Please take note of this. So I'm ready to build asking of area of concentration. I'm ready to putting some of them to you now. This one again, take note of it. So we have the preventive controls. So we talked about preventive the last time, like preventive approaches. I said that one of the things that I need to do is physical security. Okay, so this include door lock, preventive. Nobody should just come. There's a door lock, that's preventive. Security guard, they are preventive. That's that, where are you going and things like that. And another thing is that security guards are meant to be sensitized. By the time I go to some big organization, we have a project, and I'm seeing what is happening at the security door post. I'm even it's very, very funny sometimes. But the beauty about it is that Nigeria doesn't really have black hackers like that, right? We have a lot of that, but black hackers are not really that much here. But it's in a foreign organization. Those things are taken very, very serious. Very serious. And they should be paid well and treated well also. But most people don't know the kind of information they have. If I want to do social engineering in Nigeria, one of the person I'm looking for is a gate man, and another part is a kappa. You'll be surprised what gate man know in an organization. You'll be very, very surprised. The secret that is in their hand in an organization. Very surprised that they can divulge very easily if you don't do that well. Okay, so we have detective controls. These detect security violations and record any intrusion attempts. Example, motion sensors, alert sensor, video surveillance, and other methods. So those are detected. They know when something is wrong. Example, let's say there's a gas leak now. There's a gas, that's detective. Let's say motion, people are moving, they detect. Deterrent control. This send warning signals. That means don't come here. Example, beware of dogs. That's deterrent. So don't go there. This is beware unauthorized access. Nobody should go to the server room. You are aware already and things like that. Or there's a dangerous chemical in here. Don't go in. Just don't go in. So those are deterrent signs. Those are warning signs. Don't park here. Those are warning signs. They have recovery controls. So these are meant to recover from violations or restore information system. Example, disaster recovery plans, backup system, and other processes. They have the compensating, right? That is like alternate controls, the alternative control, right? So if one fail, the other one can compensate, but might not be fully, but business must continue, right? And some of them can actually do the work. That's fault tolerance. Then location considerations, right? Visibility of assets. Sometimes if you are working with all these maps, you must look at location also so that if you need to access internet, sometimes location can affect due to tall buildings, the kind of topology that is there and things like that. Neighboring buildings, local consideration, impact of catastrophic events, joint technical tenancy risks. Although some of you might not really use now, but if I'm talking to like CISOs, they understand it very well, right? Or CSOs, Chief Security Officers. Okay, they have the firefighting systems. We also have physical barriers. Some of you have seen this like bollards, fences, turnstiles, other physical barriers. Like first bank now, they use man trap where you have to enter first and you open through the other door. So those are man traps. Then also security personnel. So effective and well-trained security personnel are critical to implement, monitor, maintain the physical security of the organization. So people involved in the physical security include guards, safety officer, plant security officer, and supervisors. You also have physical locks. You have the mechanical locks. Some of you have used this when you were in mechanical lock is just like a normal tumbler lever, the one that you use in your house now. Those are mechanical lock. So what I was about to say was combination locks. Some of you use it when we're in hostel, when we're in boarding house. Remember those locks now. They have to put numbers or your box now. Call that combination lock. But there's one I remember then, old one, a friend of mine used to do that thing. So you have to twist that thing in 3 or 4 times to different numbers before it opens. So those are combination locks. We have the digital locks, which are fingerprints or PIN, and we have the electromagnetic locks. You've seen this in banks before. This, yeah. So those are electromagnetic locks. So we also have this metal detectors, X-ray inspection system, walk-through metal detectors. Yes, most of you have seen this in first bank before. Those are mat traps. So you have warning signs, you have alert systems, you have video surveillance like CCTV. Now, most of these guys here are classified now under IoT systems, right? Because this guy can easily manipulated actually, especially if they are IP based, but they are wireless, right? And most of them, of course, you have the power signal. We have the power cable. We have the signal cable. That's until I can do that, that will not work just from tampering with the signal cable. If I bring some kind of things there, you not even see anything. Talk less of IP based. So as much that cameras are very important, they need security system. And of course, you can't just put security in all these things. So that's why we classify them under IoT systems now. That's why I found IoT system. We have the lightning system. This is very important in a data center. In the data center itself, you don't see lights, but outside, light is very, in fact, you must see everybody coming in a data center. It's very important. And you see that the car park is always far from the entrance door so that there is space that people can park is far away. So people can see everybody walking to the front door. Nobody is parking, and the light is very bright. In the night itself, it's halogen light. If a pin falls, we see it. Right. Let me see Facebook or Apple data center. Let's see Facebook data center. So some of you have been in a data center before, like MTN, Galaxy. So you can see something like this. This is a data center here. Right, these are data centers. So if you're accessing Facebook, this is where you're accessing. But let me see sometimes some of this architecture. I know for the Happen one, and Nigeria to do things like that. If I Galaxy, the parking space of the one in Kano, you have to walk in. You don't you don't park near. But of course, people still park near. So that's why I'm not using some of us as a policy. But that's the way it is naturally. So you have the parking center. I think the Apple the Apple environment, which is running, that runs, no, not this one, but something like this, right? Which is very far from the internet. There's one, I can't remember the name now, but it's round in shape. That's the Apple environment. But you can look at some of these things though. Let me go into that. So you can look at the lighting system, it's very bright from the outside, but it can be that in the inside, one of the things about being inside is that it must be very cold because they need a lot of it. Data centers generate a lot of it. And that's why I see that things like Google now, they are putting, not even Google, Microsoft, they are putting their data center under the water. So you can see data centers underwater. I think this project started 2016. So you can see Microsoft, this is Azure. So where you have data centers underwater. Now, because the amount you spend on light alone to generate the light and the cooling system is very expensive. Very, very expensive. So one of the things they did that, okay, let's put it inside water. So the heat will not be much. And two, you have something we call human factor. But don't let me go there. You also have human factor. So people that are into electronics or embedded system know what I mean by human factor. Those things like they have witches inside. You can check it transistor now, it's working. It's not bound to you just look again, it's not working again. So some of you have been in those shoes before. So that's about physical security actually. So we have the power supply. There must be standby light 24 hours. Of course, we are working like a, that I'm using a data center as a typical example. Light must be there 24 hours. Because there's no light, there's no how some of you be able to browse. That means the server is down. So look at the workspace. You have the session area. Now the session should be spacious. That they offer a proper scope. No, it should not be rowdy. Or if it's rowdy, you not be to see everybody working in. So where they are sitting down should not be too far, but there should be space. So that anybody that needs to see the receptionist, we need to work in because receptionists are always volatile. And sorry, I don't want to use gender, but they're always females. And one of it about being a receptionist that you must always smile. Even though a client is asking a very stupid analytic question, you can't just be angry. So you might not know if someone is drinking soda at 9 a.m. So you might allow the receptionist to be very, very patient with them. So you must give the receptionist space where it's not be rowdy. So that I can actually attend to everybody, right? And see everybody working in. Important files or documents should not be kept on the receptionist desk. That's very important. The only thing there should be advertisements. If you even do anything, it should be advert for you. What you are selling is advert and things like that. You can read off. They have the server and backup device security. This one should be in a separate room. The server should be in a separate room. In fact, the log server should not be in another separate room again. Because if anybody tamper with the log, that's the no forensic, nothing. What's the log here? Right? So the servers authorized access, as in strict access to the server room, strict access. Okay, then physical assets, removable devices, security network cables, and things like that, portable devices, physical security policies, and so on and so forth. Then also, we are looking at the environment. We call this HVAC, right? Which we have the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. And some of these things are also under IoT system because some of them are automated. It's not like most of you only know about this conventional IoT that I switch off and switch on. No, in a big environment, right? That happens. For example, look at these big stadiums, it's HVAC. And example, someone now tamper with the HVAC system, right? And there's a lot of it, or people suffocate to death. That's the problem. So continuous power consumption supply makes data center. You can see most of the time we use data center as a relatable examples so that people understand physical security. Because most of the time when I talk about security, even in Nigeria, most people don't take it serious, which is very, very serious, especially if you are into some kind of business or you're having some kind of services. Hardware and equipment become hot very quickly. So that's why I see Microsoft having their data centers under the water. So improper equipment improvements can increase the risk of fire. That's another problem. So HVAC and control systems and system control the surrounding environment in a room, especially for humidity, temperature, and air flow. So we have the EMI shielding, electromagnetic interference. We have the hot and cold ISOs in the servers, and you can look at physical security checklist. Okay, let's stop here for today. Not for the day. Let's stop here for now before we go for a break. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen? So you have 1 hour left for us to go to the last laps. Okay, Abdulhamid, kindly go ahead. Abdulhamid, Abdulhamid.
Okay, good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, good afternoon, Abdulhamid. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Can we please get the the PDFs for network defense
Yes, we will get it
data?
definitely. Yes.
Okay,
Most
thank
likely
you.
this
That's
before tomorrow finishes, you will get it or later by Monday.
okay. Thank you very much.
Okay. Any other question? Okay. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you by 1:05. Abib, go ahead. Let me answer a question before Abib
Boss,
Oyelola.
yes, sir. Boss, thank you for the lesson and teaching, sir. God bless you for that. And
Thank
sir,
you, too.
the only PDF I have seen so far, let me say myself because I don't know. I tried to look through our group. It's just the first lecture, the one you had with us on Saturday. That was the only PDF that was available. I just want to buttress further with what Abdulhamid asked for now. So that means we need like 1, 2, 3, 4, like 4 or 5 PDFs now of the classes that we've had in the past, not just the last one.
And so, Abib, the first one sent to you has 12 modules. That's EHP. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that's for the first 4 classes now. That's for ethical hacking essential. So if you go through those 12 modules, what you've been taught from week 1, what you were taught
One.
week 1 and week 2. But for
Okay,
this
it's
week,
included.
yes,
Yes.
it's included. If you read it, everything is included in those 12 modules. So it
Yes, sir.
contains week 1 and
Okay.
week 2. Yes,
All
so the
right,
one
sir.
we sent to you before Monday is for this course. You get also module 1 to module 12.
Module 2. Okay, that's for Saturday and Sunday.
Yes, it's 12 modules, but
Oh,
you get it, yeah, for those
thank you,
2
sir.
days.
God bless you, sir.
All right, you too. Adekombi.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon,
Good
sir.
afternoon, Adekombi.
Yeah. My question is also concerning the PDF, and I joined the class late, and I didn't have access to the PDF. It is not on the group.
Don't worry, they will
It
send
is not
it.
visible to me, so I
They
don't know
will
if someone
send
can
it again.
provide it.
Don't worry, they
Okay,
will
thank you
send
very
both
much.
of them today. So for please that just so they can read. And you can go back to the YouTube videos, but they will send it again.
Okay. The PDF will be very helpful, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, or they will pin those links so that you can always have access. So they will pin it on your profile.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Lovina. Lovina, please go ahead. You can mute yourself, but you are not.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Good afternoon,
Sir. Can you hear
Lovina.
me?
Yes, I can. Please go ahead.
Okay, please. My question is somehow personal something. I WhatsApp had they sent me message that my phone number cannot be doing WhatsApp again. So I don't know whether somebody hacked my account or.
Please come
So
again.
is there something I can do about it? They say I can no longer use WhatsApp again with that particular number.
You can use WhatsApp
I
again.
said they logged me out of WhatsApp, and if I'm trying to log back, they'll tell me that I cannot longer use WhatsApp with that number. So I'm asking, is it that somebody hacked my account or is it from WhatsApp? And secondly, is there anything I can do about it, please?
That's new. For them saying that you can't use WhatsApp again, I don't know what the error message is. whatever it is, you can just put that on Google. I think there's a WhatsApp frequently asked questions where you can solve that. But if someone have, do you know if someone have payment? But if it's about maybe your number have been blocked, but that's strange. Because until I see the error message, I will know exactly what's actually paid. Or else I see the error message. Like the hack is another thing. But the times WhatsApp, that's strange. I might be from the phone. Maybe the phone does not support WhatsApp again. That's
Okay.
another thing. Does your phone still support WhatsApp? So please check that your phone still support WhatsApp. I need to update the phone operating system. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. I will see you by 1:05.
Thank you, sir.
So let's go to the last ride for today. I know some of you can't wait to sleep after this one. Like, hey, wait till I put myself into. But it's part of it. It might look very, very boring sometimes. Not like ethical hacking that is very, very interesting, but it's fine. But the truth is, ethical hacking is very, very loud and things like that. But it's because of some things though. But this one now, you are not creating a tool or doing anything, you are not creating a tool to ask us. Now you have to defend. So this is where you need to, I need this knowledge. I need to understand some things. Let's I just carry a tool. Say this is how to use the tool. Yeah, let's use it. And we got asset. I asked someone. No, defense is not like that. So, and of course, you also need these skills, even though as an offensive person. So you know how to bypass. So that's what make a real hacker, not a skipidi or not a Yahoo person. That okay, how do we use it to know? It's different from being a real pen tester. So you need to understand some of these concepts. So I agree sometimes actually that it can be a little boring, and that's why we try our best to make it very relatable to you. Right. Okay. So this has a lot of aspects. Let's technical controls has a lot in it. And it's very, very interesting actually. And that's what people are waiting for the technical control. Because that's where you need as an entry level majorly. The physical and administrative, most of you might never need to implement it, but as you go in Nigeria, but this technical now this is where you need to show your skills and things like that. So what's the network segmentation? Now this is practical splitting a network into smaller network segments and separating group of systems or application from each other. This is what I said the other time. One of the four ways to secure a system is segmentation. So that if one aspect is attacked, it does not affect all other aspects. So that's what we mean by segmentation. So you are splitting a network into smaller segments so that you can even manage it better. And in a segmented network, group of system applications have no interaction with each other. Will be placed in different network segments. So it's only people that look alike that have been in one segment. So just like I'm having different courses in a school. I have computer engineering, I have electrical. You see the way they segmented it here. It's not that everybody just comes to school and you are put in one place. No. So based on the use, based on different factors, you'll be segmenting into these groups. So what are the security benefits of network segmentation? One is improved security, better access control, of course. You don't need to have a complex access control because you're looking at people that look alike, that you know that you regularly talk. So you put them in one group so they can always have conversation. But people that they don't even need to talk, you put them in another group and things like that. So you know when you're making access controls, it will not be complex. It'll be very simple because already solve the problem of alikeness. So you know that some people that they are like they're in one segment, people that are different. So it just be little access control. So it will not be a complex access control list. Then improve monitoring, of course, improve performance and better containment. That's important. So let's say there's a virus. So you can easily contain that virus for spreading around. You are easily, if it's a centralized system, when you affect everybody, you'll not be able to contain it because you don't know where to stop it. But if it's in a past, if you have segmented your network, it's very easy to contain. But you can just pull out that network that is having problem till you solve the problem and does not affect every other networks. So you have different type of network segmentation. But the assignment I'll give you today is I'll giving you one. I say what's the difference between radios and attackers. The second I'm adding to it that what is micro segmentation. What is the difference between segmentation and micro segmentation? So I want you to read about it. So they can come in an interview question, material exam, any of those. So the first one is the difference between TACAS and radius. The second one is the difference between segmentation and micro segmentation. So this segment can communicate by intermediary devices such as switches, hubs, or router. So these are, remember we talked about hub and router. So you can use it to segment your network. That's physical segmentation. Of course, this can be very, very space taking. Because if I have 24 port switch and I'm just segmenting and wasting the remaining ports, let's say I need 2 for accounting, I need 5 departments. But because I'm having just 2 here, I just go and buy another router. When I still have like 20 free slots on a switch. So why am I doing that? When I can do logical segmentation. So that one brought us to logical segmentation where we have in a virtual LANs. So instead of me buying different switches, I can use one switch to segment them. So this actually look like this. But the only difference that these 3 is just one router and the one hub or switch rather. Right? And this way they will communicate. They look like physical segment. But actually, I'm just buying one switch instead of buying 3 switch. Then I segment them like this. They are called virtual LANs. So I am segmenting them logically, not physically now. Because physically, it's just taking space and wasting money. But logically, I can have just one switch and segment all of them on that switch. Or let it now full. I can use trunking system, whatever it is I want to use, or buy another one. But I need to trunk them anyways. So that is logical segmentation. You also have network virtualization. So it's the process of combining all available network resources and enabling security professionals to share the resources among the network user using a single administrative unit. So it's just the virtualization approach. So this enables each user to access network, available networks like file, folder, printer, whatever it is. So it's just one administrative unit, right? So it's virtualization, both of them actually accessing the network. Then based-in host. Looking at security measures. What is a based-in host? A based-in host is a computer system designed and configured to protect network resources from attacks. But one thing about based-in host is that it is one host computer. It's only host computer on a system and can be addressed directly from the public network. So, example, if I have an enterprise network, right, and this is the internal network, I can create a based-in host here, right, in which everybody that is accessing my system, they will think the IP they're accessing is my internal IP addresses. Meanwhile, they are accessing my based-in host. Are we getting it? So some people use it as reverse proxy. Now, this is what I mean by reverse proxy. Let's go to our paint so that we can do some illustration here. So based-in host. And that person should meet. I'm in myself. Okay, let's say this is my based-in host. I'm just by BH. This is my internal network. So this is the public IP address they'll be seeing. So I can put my databases there. This can be my database, DB. And my based-in host, I can have files there. Let's say the HTML and CSS file. So what I'm doing is that if you're attacking, this is what you'll be seeing as my public IP address. So by the time we do DNS lookup now, we are trying to look for my IP address. This is what you'll be seeing. So if you attack this guy, there's nothing here. That's what business is doing. Right. But now I cannot do a reverse proxy, which that this IP will redirect your, that one called reverse proxy. We still talk about that. I direct it to the main terminal, but this is what business does, right? So if you're attacking the system, you're not attacking this IP, this enterprise, you're attacking the base node. So this guy like this, the person I'm putting in front of the wall, front guy. So now this guy they suffer. So if anything happen, it's this guy that will suffer. That's what happened with base node. So this guy is what is meant to suffer anything and withstand any attack. So that was the idea of base nodes. Okay. Let's go back. They have what's the need of basic nodes? Minimize chances of penetration by triggers, of course. Create all logs. So all that one server can use it as only port to see everybody that's trying to access. So everything you are doing server can be seeing it on that basic nodes because I never attacking my system anyways. So in case, this is what we are saying, it can serve as a scapegoat. So basic node can serve as a scapegoat. So it provides an additional layer of security. The way to position the basic nodes is also important, the physical location and the network location. That when I'm talking about that policeman the other time, you can't just bully policeman because I'm trying from Lagos to and I put them in 1 kilometer. There will be trouble. You say you hate yourself for it, right? So that's why we say cybersecurity is diplomatic at the end of the day. So you must understand it deeply. You're not just understanding the truth, understand it deeply. So you have position of the basic nodes, you can put it at the DMZ zone, which is demilitarized zone, before the material firewall or wherever you need to put it. But you can also put at the DMZ zone. So we have different types of basic nodes. We have the one that is one network interface. Example, this you can see is one network interface there, where you can have the firewalls there. Then we have multi-owned that can have at least two interfaces. Look at it here now. Now look at what I said the other time. Is one, this one you can see is just one. It's not in the middle, it's beside. You can see this is just one interface here. This arrow is just that one interface. But this second one, you can see that it's in the middle. It has the external interface and the internal interface. You have two. This is one down, one up. So you can have at least two. You can even go to the side depending on the network interface it has. You have the internal basing O, and we have different ones. So you can look at those types of basing O. They have the DMZ zone. So a computer subnetwork is placed between the organization private network, such as LAN, and the public network that acts as an additional security layer. So you can have multiple basic nodes in the DMZ zone. We can serve as intermediary between the internet and internal network. So yeah, I can have for file server, I can have for image server, I can have for web server. You know, if I'm just having one DMZ, one basic node rather, it might not be able to take all this. But if I'm not having multiple basic hosts in a local area network, they function exactly the way a basic node function. But if I now have multiple, that zone is called a DMZ zone. They can see this one is a basic node, this is a basic node. Even though they are server, I'm just calling them basic node. So when I'm having all this for different purposes, is what we call what DMZ. Example, we have things like MTN now. Like things people need to access every time and then the HTML or the web front end aspect, some emails like customer care emails and things like that. I can put them in DMZ zone. But when it comes to the database now, I can put that database in the internal network. So what people access frequently and does not need too much layer of security is what I just put in the DMZ zone. Example, the front end page, I can put them in the DMZ zone. So you can be accessing the HTML and CSS. But when it comes to information or data, I can now put them in my internal network. So that's about DMZ zone. So we have different ways to create that. Now, what is a firewall? A firewall is a software or hardware or combination of both. It can be software, it can be hardware. We have Asa firewall, we have Palo Alto, we have Fortinet. Those are hardware firewall. We also have the software like your Microsoft Defender. Those are different firewalls. So it can be hardware or software, which is generally used to separate a protected network from an unprotected network. But majorly what we are saying here is access control. So let me add a note here. Everything I'm saying here was access control. So it can accept or deny traffic. That means accept who is meant to come in, deny who is meant to come in, either based on the IP addresses or port number or other metrics. So it's major just access control. Accept or deny. That's what firewall does. Okay, Daniel, I have a question. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, sir. My name is Danny Hamzat. So about firewall, I came to know about Sophos firewall. But what I know about Sophos firewall is that it's a paid firewall system. Like they do their stuff
That's
on cloud.
correct.
So using Sophos firewall, like let me say I have an organization now, and I want to use Sophos firewall as the implementation of my defense. Them providing firewall support for me. Is it not possible for them to also access my own backend system? Like, is it safe? Actually, really safe? Like 100% safe on my own
The
side?
the Sophos environment themselves.
Yeah.
Is
No,
it for Sophos?
on my own, them they are providing firewall for me.
Yeah, that's correct.
Suppose for them
No,
to also
Sophos cannot access. No, they can't. Sophos cannot have access. That's privacy now. It's
that's the
part
price.
of yes. Yes,
Okay.
now. It's just like I'm saying that Apple should just have access to my data. And that's I'll still get to this privacy when I get to VPN. Now. So some of you understand these things. That's why you talk about laws and standard compliance. It's part of compliance. But I was seeing where India was telling Apple and Samsung that they want to have access to the software so that they can do reverse engineering and they should test every parties. That's against compliance issues. It's against compliance. So first cannot have access. But of course, some people prefer different firewalls based on false acceptance rates, that means the ability to detect, right? And sometimes configurations and things like that. Sometimes technology preference. So some people can say that can't use Palo Alto, sometimes you can't use PFSense, depending on what aspects you are specialized in. And of course, I don't expect people to be specialized in many things. That's the problem I have. I'm seeing a company saying that someone knows software, must understand Palo Alto, must understand Fortinet. Once you are telling me that thing, there's no way the network security guy will configure it accurately. There's no way. If you want to pick a technology or a need, pick it directly as a company. You can have multi-technologies, fine, but don't put that pressure that you want a department in one person. It doesn't work that way. One way or the other, they not configure that firewall very well. And that is good thing for us actually. As a pen tester, it's even what we are looking for. So they not configure it very well. Okay, so that's it by the way. Access control, you are to accept or deny traffic based on metrics like IP addresses, ports, and things like that. Okay. Although I still have an interview question regarding this by the time I finish some of this topic. I'm going to ask a question on this. So it monitors and filters traffic, incoming and outgoing traffic of the network and prevent unauthorized access to the private network. That's what the firewall does. So there are different types of firewall. We have the hardware firewalls, like we have the ASA, you have the Fortinet firewalls, and they are like normal devices, just like you are seeing routers. But some of you have not seen before. Let's show you. So you have the 55605550. So you can see these are 5500 series, there's 5560 series. So these are actually firewalls. So some of you might not see something like this before. That's fine. So firewalls can be hardware like this, like a device, not software alone. And you have to configure the firewalls. Okay. You have the software firewalls, which you have on your system. Your Windows Defender and things like that. We also have the host-based and network-based firewall. Now, different with host-based that host is anytime you see me talking about host-based or network, host-based means that is for each computer. That means each computer is having its own or host is having its own firewall. If I say that host IPS, that means every computer has its own IPS. But if I'm saying network-based, that means it's centralized. Right? It's centralized. That's what I mean. So let's quickly do an illustration so that people understand what I'm saying this. because I'll be using hosts and network as we go on. So if I'm talking about net host now, let's say I have a network like this. This is system A, this is system B, this is system C. Let me just use a ring. This is system D. If I'm talking about host, that means system A has its own firewall, system B has its own firewall, system C has its own firewall, system D has its own firewall. But if I'm talking about host, that means there's a centralized firewall protecting all of them like this. That's what I'm saying. So there's a firewall here that is what's taking control of this network. That's network based. So anytime I'm talking about network based and host, that should come to your head. Host, individual, network, centralized. Okay, let's see, you can go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Good
My
afternoon.
question is for the hardware firewall. I wanted to ask if they are terminal enabled, like if you want to configure them.
Yes, now just like you are configuring your router. That's correct. They have that firmware that I can relate to. It's just like most of you have MTN router, is that correct? You have that MTN router as a device, is that correct?
Yes.
If you want to configure it, MTN created a web application for you to configure it, is that correct?
Yes.
Exactly. So that's that it. So they are just like your routers, your switches. You can use terminal base. You can SSH into it. Sometimes some of them have web-based interface that can to configure. You just need to telnet or go to the IP address. Message, do you understand that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Okay. They have different firewall technologies. You have the packet filtering. Right? This works at the layer 3, 4 of your OSI layer. We have the stateful, we have the circuit gates, we have the application, we have the proxy, we have the network, we have the VPN. So look at this now. At the data link, you have the VPN, packet filtering, transport packet filtering, but circuit gateway, level gateway work at this layer. So let me confuse you guys because I'm going through this right. Most of you might know that now. Let me use this as a typical example. So packet filtering works at the network layer of the OSI model, right? Or the IP layer of TCP IP model. So you can see what's at the what network layer. So what does it do? It filters based on IPs, and it can also filter based on ports at the transport layer. Yes. So packet filtering can do that. So we have what we call either extended or access control is extended and source and normal access control is rather. So anyway, what I'm saying is that look at traffic based on the IP protocols, right? That means I can say that this IP that is from Lagos cannot access a network that is in Accra. That's some of you are browsing from US network. You might need to use a VPN because we are coming with Nigeria IP. You know have access. That's firewall, right? So you can filter based on that. But it's not actually the best, just packet filtering. But it's the basis of firewall actually. That's the basic work of firewall, access control. And the basic is packet filtering. But as of today, we need more than those packet filtering. They have the circle level gateway. This work at the section layer. So those are things you need to understand as a beginner. This works at the next section layer. It deals with sections. So you check the TCP handshake to be sure whether they're legitimate or not. Example, for people that will come for hacking and they are being scanning, there are different ways to get scanned using the TCP handshake. Now, there are a lot of things you can do with the TCP handshake. Session hijacking, you can manipulate it for session hijacking. You can manipulate it to scan. You can do a lot of things with this TCP handshake. But this section layer can check that. Did you complete that three-way handshake or you are trying to manipulate us? That's what the firewall can do for you at the circuit level gateway. They have the application, which we call the WAF, Web Application Firewall, right? These work at the application layer. They are used based on HTTP, FTP, Telnet, and those application layer protocols. So these also fall under the category of Web Application Firewall, which we call the WAF. They have the stateful. Now, the stateful is what we encourage. We can do the three at the same time. That's a combination of packets, section, and application. So it's a combination of these three. the packet firewall. Let me put a note here. So stateful is what we encourage as the baseline, where is a combination of packet filtering, then circuit level, which talk about the section, and application. So that's what we call the stateful multi-layer inspection firewall. Now, so another assignment. What's the difference between stateful and stateless firewall? I'll give you the assignment now. And one thing that is because one of the baseline as a security person is research. Even though I can try to tell you now the differences, but no, you must learn how to research. Even though you are reading the books, you must also learn how to research. Nobody just be fabricating lies for you. And that's the problem some of you have. In security, you must know this thing. It's not just whatever anybody tells you. Even me as a instructor, you see how to fact check some of these things so that you know it yourself. Because if you just hear what everybody say, I just go and use that in another organization. And we tell the client that, it's what I heard, what this person said. No, you have to fact check it. So you must do research. It's normal. If you come for class, you also do that. You will learn by far by force. You must learn to read. Okay. So the next one, number 3 for today, the difference between stateful firewall and stateless firewall. Okay. Then application proxy. Now, application proxy works as a proxy server and filter connection for specific purposes. Now, you can have FTP proxy that allows only FTP traffic. So those are proxy, right? They are filtering connection for specific services. Okay, let me talk about some technologies. Let me go to Paint so that you guys will understand better. So let's talk about proxy. I've talked about proxy VPN before I go to NAT and maybe honeypot. But let me first talk about this guy there. Now, proxies, of course, if the one you talked about is application proxy, but let me talk about the normal idea of proxy. So this VPN also does the same thing. This is your system, or this is you. You want to go through a traffic. This is the idea of what proxy. I'm not talking about reverse proxy. So I'm going to a server here. Let's say the server is in US. I'm going to Facebook server in US. And this is me in Nigeria here. Now, if I go normally, because there's a firewall here, this is a firewall. So if I'm going normally, let me use this as a normal traffic. Let me use this color for normal traffic. So if I'm going normally, and this is my normal traffic. Now, because there's a firewall rule here that says deny IPs from Nigeria. I'm just in this word, it's more than this. It's just a command on the access control. So deny IP from Nigeria. So what happens is that you see that your browser will just be rolling here. You don't have access because I've told this firewall, right, not to give you access to this guy here. And this is where proxy comes in. So this is where proxy comes in. So if I'm going to the server here, this proxy will now say that come or bring your traffic. So it changes to US and give you access to the server. VPN also do this. But the major difference that proxy works on application layer, proxy works at the application layer, while VPN, they work at the network layer. This is what I mean. Please let me disable that person's mic. Okay. So VPN works at the network layer. right? And I said proxy work application layer. Example, if I'm working on my system and I put proxy, activated proxy on Edge browser, that proxy only work on that Edge browser. It will not work on Chrome, right? That's the way normal proxy works. So if I activate a proxy on Edge browser, but it works on that application layer, doesn't mean that it work for Chrome. It will not work for Chrome. It will only work for the Edge. But if I'm using a VPN, a normal VPN, the software VPN, most of you know that the API you are working with. Of course, this guy can work at the network layer. So that means whatever I'm doing on my system, everybody will be seeing the US IP that I change it to. Even though I'm working on Chrome, I'm working on Edge, I'm working on whatever it is, everybody will see it change. But if I'm using proxy, if I'm on Edge, someone that is using WhatsApp, I'm using WhatsApp, they will not see that I'm using a proxy. So that's the basic idea that most people have. But let me now add to these things. But before I add to this thing, Daniel, you have a question?
Yes, sir, I do have a question. The
Yes,
thing
we
is
go
that
ahead.
I noticed that, for example, doing Kali Linux configuration. So if you want to choose a network settings for your Kali Linux, you
Okay.
hereby see NAT and then bridge adapter. So I'd like to
Yes.
know between NAT and bridge adapter. What I noticed was that if I'm trying to run some things online or trying to run some tools on my terminal in the Kali Linux, if I see that network is not going, I'll have to go and change to bridge adapter and it will go. So I want to really know the difference. Like what is worth, like now I can know it's NAT. When I try to add Metasploit table to my Kali Linux, I cannot be able to use NAT. I'll have to change it to bridge adapter. So I want to really know the slight difference and what it is mainly for, both of them, both
Okay,
NAT
that's
and
fine.
bridge adapter.
No, man, I'm not meant to tell you because you're not in PS class. But let's just give us a bonus of that. I know it. But normally, people that come for class that is meant to get that. But let me just give you as let's give you as free. So if you're using bridge network, that means you have access to your internal network, rather your internal wireless adapter. So this is what I mean. If you check your IP config, your IP or your main system, not your virtual web, or your main system, if I'm having this kind of internal IP like 192.168.10.5, right, it's going to be from this last 24. So that means if I'm using my Kali now, if I'm using Bridge, it's going to pick an IP address like this 192.168.10. Let's say slash 6/24. So it's picking from that classic IP address. But if I'm using NAT, right, it's going to pick from the VM itself, virtualware, that VMware IP address. And if you don't check it well, you see that on NAT also, there's something you call, if you go to custom, you see something you call VM NAT. It can be VM8 NAT, it can be VM2 NAT. This means that go to my adapter. There's a virtual adapter there. We call it virtual adapter. So if your virtual adapter is between 192.168 dot let's say 5.0/24. You see that the IP address you'll be taking from this virtual adapter dot 5 dot maybe 20. This is where to take it from. But if you use bridge network, it's going to take directly from your wireless adapter that you have in your network. Now it's because your virtual web doesn't have access directly to your wireless adapter. It only has access. If you check your adapter in your virtual, you notice that it's using wired network, not wireless. Did you notice that? Let's ask the question.
I didn't really notice. I didn't take note of that.
Yeah, so take note of you see that it doesn't have a wireless adapter. I'm not using Wi-Fi, you're using a wired connection because your system will create a virtual adapter which is going to give you network. But if you're using bridge, what I'm saying that come to my wireless adapter directly and get an IP address. That's what I'm saying. Does that make
So
sense?
thank you, sir. So that means if you are using a bridge adapter, someone who is more efficient in ethical hacking can be able to bridge your network, right?
Yes, now that means whatever I'm doing on my virtual web, I can use it to attack someone using that same network in the same organization. Example, if I'm using my virtual web, this is my VM. I can't attack someone outside that VM. But if I breach my network, I can attack someone outside my VM. Then I can hack another computer that we're on the same network. That way.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Now I'll take note
Okay.
of it.
Although I'm not meant to get that, but let's just give you. Okay, so let's go back to what we were saying. So let's go back to our proxy. I'm talking about reverse proxy. Now we can use reverse proxy. So I think I mentioned reverse proxy the other time. So this same proxy, what we talk about is forward proxy, where the person needs to take the packets to US server. That's forward proxy. Now, what I'm saying now is reverse proxy. So those are two methods you can use proxy for, but proxy works at the application layer. So let's say this is you. Now, on this one now, the proxy I talked before, let me still make that diagram. This is a firewall. This is server in US. This is you. This is a proxy, right? So let's talk what I talked about the other time. Sorry about that. So pardon my English. Okay. So let me explain this forward proxy. And let me make this one reverse proxy. Let me draw reverse proxy here. So we see half this is you. This is a proxy, but here it is reverse proxy. And this is the server. So this is true. Yeah, you are aware of this proxy. These end users are aware of this proxy because they are the one that actually implemented this proxy. What this proxy is doing that is forwarding your packet on your behalf. That means it's changing your IP to US to this US server so that this firewall will not block you. That's for proxy. But for reverse proxy, this user is not aware. He's not aware at all. He's not aware of that there's a proxy. And it is the owner of the server that implements the proxy, not you. Yeah, the user is the one that implements the proxy. Yeah, is the server that implements the proxy. Why? I'm using this as a basic note so that you don't know. What to be seen is this proxy. But reverse proxy will now redirect traffic to the main server. What I'm doing is that I don't want to know the IP. I don't want you to know the IP of the main server. But what this proxy is doing that is like a middleman. But for reverse proxy, it's being used by the server, in which that it is the server that will make you, I mean, the server that implement it so that to redirect traffic to him. So this guy is not aware. He's just going to www.facebook.com. Meanwhile, he's going to this proxy. So by the time you get to this proxy will redirect traffic to the server, and this for security reasons. But for this one, the user is aware. That's for proxy. You are the one that implemented this, so that I don't want this firewall to block. You want to have access to this US server. So that's the difference between forward proxy and reverse proxy. But both of them, proxy still serve as a middleman. Okay, Mercy David, go ahead.
So I don't think you're sharing your screen. We can't see it.
Oh, Jesus. I am now. Oh, I'm
You're
not
sharing your
sharing
screen.
paint. Oh, sorry, I get what she's saying. I'm not sharing paint though. Oh, sorry. This is what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Let me come again. Now, this for proxy, I've been writing this, but I didn't know I didn't share it. So for proxy, I'm going to a US server here. This is a firewall. If I go with a Nigerian IP, of course, there's a firewall rule that blocks me. But this proxy will help me take that packet in to the server because it's coming with a US IP. That's forward. But this end user is aware that it's using a proxy. But for a reverse proxy, it's being implemented by the owner of the server. So that this person is not aware that there's a proxy anywhere. So by the time it's going to www.facebook.com, it will be going to this proxy because there's nothing there, it's a security measure. But this proxy will now redirect that traffic or redirect that traffic rather to the server here. So that's the difference between forward proxy and reverse proxy. Forward proxy, the user is aware. Reverse proxy, the user is not aware, right? And is implemented by the server. Forward proxy, we're the one that implemented the proxy. But the major function of the proxy, of course, is just like the middleman. Do we get that? Okay. So that's for forward proxy and reverse proxy. Okay. So let's talk about VPNs. VPN. And let me use another stuff. So VPN is what we call virtual private network. But this is what most of you know it as. The function of what the proxy does. Yes, it also does that function. So let's say this is your VPN. Then I'll call your firewall. Then the server you want to access, of course, is in US. And this is you or your host. You are here in Nigeria. So there's the firewall, like we said the other time. Don't allow US traffic into our server. Anything from Nigeria, block it. Then most of you implement VPN, but of course, VPN works at the network layer, right? But now, this VPN that you know is not the hardware virtual private network, right? This is where the peer and all those things are working with, right? Where you are using a middle organization for this. That means you have access to peer, WinScribe, and so on. Even they work at the network layer. But this is what most of you don't know. There's a factor in this drawing. Let me add the factor here. So it doesn't make you completely anonymous. So most of your this architecture, you've forgotten that there's one other person that you've missed in this architecture, which is the ISP, before you get to the VPN. Now, when you are going to a VPN, you are accessing this VPN server. And of course, these people can request for your data. That's where we talk about privacy and personal privacy. FBI, government, CIA, because of course they are working as a man in the middle attack now. They are the man in the middle. So they have your traffic. Don't forget. So before you use a VPN, remember that this VPN company has your data. But what I want you to know for anonymity is that you can't run away from this guy here, which is the ISP. VPN does not work before your ISP. VPN works after your ISP. And even your proxy, they work after your ISP. You can't run away from your ISP. So whatever you are doing, your ISP knows about it. Just keep that in mind. But now there are laws regarding privacy of data and data usage. Okay, I didn't need. Go ahead.
Okay. Thank you. Good afternoon, sir.
Good
Sorry, sir. When it
afternoon.
comes to privacy, what about using with the browser and VPN? Is this still open to ISP?
If you install with the browser, oh, I
Like
didn't get it.
Tor browser.
Yes, now if you're using Tor browser, now the thing about Tor browser, if you're using just normal Tor browser, it goes to some IP address. Of course, it's moving around. That's the beauty of Tor. So it's not centralized. But there are some IP addresses I will see. I know that you're using Tor browser. So some people that come for defense, we talk about that. So there are some IPs that we know from threat intelligence that is on Tor browser. But of course, Tor is very good. You can use Tor browser. It doesn't stay in one place, right? It's a traffic within different systems. It's a circle of system. So it's not like they know that it's from you directly. No.
Sorry, sir. One more question, sir. Sorry. What about
Okay.
using proxy? What about changing
Proxy
proxy?
chains.
Yes.
Yes. So I know most of you talk about proxy. It's not completely anonymous.
Uh,
Just like I said, yeah, it's not completely anonymous.
combining them together. What about combining them together? It's not still.
It's not anonymous. It's not completely anonymous.
So
You
what
can
can we
say,
do?
that one, I'm not going there.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So that's social engineering you are using now. Okay, Peter, I know the arguments on it. That's fine.
Okay, sir. So I want to ask, how then can one stay completely anonymous
Why do you
online?
want to stay
Or is
completely
it not
anonymous?
possible?
The question is, why do you want to stay completely anonymous? Are you doing something that is not good?
Because
question.
I don't want everybody knowing my business online now.
It's not possible now. Your business is a public enterprise.
Ah,
That is
Yes,
not
yes,
possible.
yes.
Under the law, it's not possible.
Okay.
Now, and that's why most of
Yes,
you don't know that
yes.
hacking is expensive. And you see some hackers use what we call lease line. Some use television network because they are dedicated line. And to get a dedicated line is very expensive. And that's where the idea of Tor comes in, where I can use other people's system, that traffic, pool of people, so it don't come directly to me. But of course, the research has seen some IP addresses that we know that once we see some of these IP addresses, that means if your traffic mistakenly routes to that traffic, I have an idea that is in a chain process. That's the idea. It's not like I know from beginning. But once I see some IP address, if you route through some IP address, I know that no, this is a Tor IP address. And Daniel, you have a question.
Yeah, concerning the proxy chains and Tor, both of them are all under anonymity. So I was like, you can also stay anonymous using proxy chains by adding mark changer.
And
Am I
that's
right?
also correct.
So mark
But
changer is
remember, but yes, I agree with you. But remember that I know the owner of this network. Let's start from there.
yeah, that's just the main issue there because I know the
Exactly. Now, if you are looking at not those, you are looking at it from the end user. That's the problem most of you have. This is hard from the end user. If these US guys is finding it hard, I'd rather from the person, from the object. You are looking at anonymity from the object. I'm not looking at it from the source. That's what most of you have problem. That's why it's complex to you. If this guy is looking for you, all those project chains will be hard for him. Might be hard, depending on the skills. But you're not looking at it from the source. You are not the owner of this. This guy will not find it hard to find you. So what is best done is to understand that you can get this IP address back to you or to the VPN, they can get to you. That's why they go to court. So most of you look at it from the object and not looking at it from the subject. That's why you find anonymity hard. That's why hackers look at it from the subject. That's why it is expensive. Anonymity is expensive from this perspective. But from this source, it is not expensive. Even with normal VPN, yeah, whatever it is, it's not expensive. How much are you paying for it? Even with the WinScribe, you see what free WinScribe if you're looking it from the object. Does that make sense? So if you want to be completely, you have to look at it from the source. That means how you are getting your network. Okay. So next time when you're using, and some of those centralized VPN you're using, let me tell you why they know sometimes. Let me tell you the aspects how we know sometimes. So I have an idea, but I'm not going deep into that. But people that come from digital forensic, we might go deeper, but not too deep. You see our limitations too, based on law enforcement. Okay. So this is you. This is the ISP. This is the VPN. This is the server you're working with. Now, there's something you call, it can be latency, it can be lack of network. Let me use big word. Network delay. Now, otherwise, some people say that, if I'm filing in the night, if I'm doing this deep shit in the night, that's when it goes faster. Yes, because there's less traffic at that time, or most people are doing pressure on the network. Now, if I'm using a VPN sometimes, and it's showing that it's showing US, this guy is the one coming to the server, it's showing US. Now, what most of you don't know, there are things section with that application. Most of you don't think even to that level. And only few VPN does that. Example, 411, but I think they banned 411 now, or 911 rather. It is 419, I can't remember that. I know they banned that VPN. It was very effective with that. And with that, if I section with this server, let me use another pen so you understand. If I section with this, now let's say there's a network delay now. This ISP, there's a delay here. Remember that you are still in section, and this VPN, there's a cut here because of the network issue you have. By the time your network comes back, by the time your network comes back, remember that this VPN will not come up immediately because it's an application. This VPN application, will not come up immediately. So by that time, you are still in section with this server. What type of address do you think it'll be showing? Of course, it'll be showing Nigeria IP. And of course, I know from my rule, you can't be in US and in the next 5 minutes, you are in Nigeria. So what I do is that automatically system block that traffic. So those are some of the sub rules we put. There are a lot of rules, but this just major. Some is based on geolocation and things like that. So there's not you being in US and you being in Nigeria in 5 minutes. But most of you don't know that because of the jitter you had with this ISP or the network delay, this VPN did not stop working and it didn't cut traffic. Because it was a good VPN, it will cut traffic and it won't allow you to browse till it comes up again. That's a good VPN service. So anytime there's a network delay, it's meant to cut traffic. That means you can't browse till that VPN comes again. But most of the time, most of these VPN don't cut traffic. So you are still in section. By the time the network comes back, before this VPN service comes up again or gets that network, you're already in traffic with the server directly. So those are some of those ideas that you see. Okay. So let's talk about the industrial aspect and from what you know. So let's go to the hardware aspect of a VPN, the industrial aspect. So the idea of VPN is I have company A in Nigeria. I have company B in US. I want to do site-to-site VPN. So what I can do is that this is the internet, of course, which is unsecured. So what I'm doing here is that I'm creating a private network, of course, with the help of ISP also. So this is my VPN device. This is my VPN device. So what happens is that A and B, they'll be working as if they're in a local area network, even though I'm using the idea of a wide area network. So that will be VPN. That's what I call it virtual private network. So they can communicate as if they're in a what? Local with the use of the internet, but this here is encrypted as a private network. So that's why we have VPN device, hardware device. Most of you don't know that, but I end that for the first time. You have VPN hardware devices. And we have some concentrators that will also help. And of course, with the help of ISPs. So these guys, A and B will now look as if they're in the same environment. Meanwhile, they're in different environments. So that was the idea of VPN before some people think it's like proxy. Okay. Then the last one I'll talk about, even though I still talk about some terminologies regarding these guys, they want to go back to the books. Time has gone on. 158. Sorry. Let me quickly complete this. I didn't know time has gone that much. NAT, which is network address translation. So remember, we have two IP addresses. We have the private IP and we have the public IP addresses. Now remember that on the internet, if you are going to internet, this system A, you are going to a server on the internet. This is the internet. You have both private and public IP. Now I tell you that the private is given by ISP. They only know your ISP on the internet. Example, we did that the last time. What's my IP? So what now does that? Now translates IP addresses, private IP addresses to what? Public IP address. That's just a simple word. So they convert what? That private, remember private cannot browse. So they convert the private IP addresses to public IP addresses. And this should leave a question within you. So if I'm attacking someone that is not in Nigeria, I'm not the one using this public IP address. How does the belly connect back to me? That's the topic for another day. And that's about it. But you should think about it. So I expect you guys to be inquisitive. Let's have to attack a system in China, a server in China, and I'm not the one of the IP address. How can I attack the person? Because I'm not the one even using this public IP address. There's something you call PAT or NAT overload, in which that MTN does that, or every ISP in Nigeria does that. A lot of private IP addresses are connected to just one public IP addresses. We call it many to one. It's called many to one. That means many private IP addresses to one public IP address. So that's why most of you are using the same network. You can see that you're having the same public IP address, yes. But let's say I want to attack another system and I'm not doing of the public IP addresses. How do I attack that system? So this is where we stop for today. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. If you have any questions, let me take them now. Any questions? We've passed our time. All right, Daniel. Okay, Daniel, go ahead.
Yeah,
Daniel,
how can I get the ND slides?
please come again.
I said, how can we get the NDE slides?
You get it soon. Don't worry. They'll post it on your group.
Okay, no problem. Yes, sir.
Harrison, please go ahead.
I wanted to help me and talk about the first single.
I can't hear you, Harrison. Harrison, please, can you be a bit audible? I can't hear you. Adeshola, please go ahead.
Well done, and thank you for your time. Please, can you please come again the 3 questions you asked us, the assignment you give to us?
Okay, the difference between, I'll also tell Grace to drop it on the group. The difference between radios and attackers. What is the second one? Stateful and stateless firewall. Please don't remind me the third one. What's the third one I told you to read about?
Microsegmentation.
Yeah, segmentation and microsegmentation. Thank you so much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. It's been interesting to see you guys again, and I hope to see you in a better place in the future or probably in class. Thank you so much. I will hand you over to Samuel. There is no 100% security anywhere in the world. The more the ease of life, the more the security. One of the beauty about cybersecurity is also job security.